Chapter 228. Where are you feeling unwell? You look very pale. After asking the first question, the second and third questions naturally came out. The unnatural feeling in Wei Yu's heart disappeared. He stared at Tang Guo without looking away. Seeing that she was only smiling, he couldn't be bothered to argue. His next action shocked the system. He actually picked up Tang Guo directly and carried her in a princess carry. Feeling her struggle, he said coldly, "Don't move. I'll take you to the infirmary. I knew you had a crush on me. Wei Yu." He really wanted to throw her down. However, he hugged her even tighter. When he went down the stairs, he was even afraid that he would lose his balance and fall on her. His careful look shocked the passers-by. "That's Wei Yu. He's carrying Beauty Tang? Oh my god, how can that be? Doesn't Wei Yu not like Beauty Tang? Actually, Beauty Tang is really not bad. If I were Wei Yu, I wouldn't be able to control myself." Wei Yu's footsteps froze when he heard this, but he still steadied himself and carried Tang Guo to the infirmary. However, the redness of his ears betrayed him. He pursed his lips and carefully placed Tang Guo on the bed in the infirmary. "She doesn't look too good. Help her check." When Tang Guo was being examined, Wei Yu put his hands in his pockets. He didn't keep staring at Tang Guo and secretly glanced at her pale face from time to time. As for that terrifying scar, this time, he also took a serious look at it. His brows slightly furrowed, and he actually had the urge to take that scar away from her face. Suddenly, he was shocked. Seeing that the doctor was almost done with the examination, he went over to ask. "It's just anemia. My daughter is afraid of getting fat and doesn't like to eat. Just pay attention to eating on time in the future," the doctor muttered. It seemed that this kind of situation was common in school. Wei Yu brought Tang Guo back to the classroom and pressed her down on her seat with a serious expression. "Sit here and don't move. I'll go buy food." Looking at Wei Yu's hurried departure, Tang Guo smiled happily. "How was it? I told him he had a crush on me. System, host, I won't doubt you anymore. Just now, I detected that his heartbeat accelerated for a moment. This guy really controlled it well. He almost fooled me. If Tang Guo didn't connect to the system, how could a string of data accurately measure people's hearts? Host, are you going to make a move on him? That's what I'm thinking. I kind of want to make a move on him. When his ears were red just now, he looked a little cute. Don't you think so?" Tang Guo's eyes were filled with interest. "I want to have a serious relationship with him." The system pondered for a moment. Married? After traveling to so many worlds, even if his host was a supporting female lead, cannon fodder, or a villain, even if she had someone she really liked, she had never really married anyone. Why do you insist on getting married? Tang Guo was puzzled. Isn't it good to have a lifelong relationship where you like me and I like you? Host, this is called being a hooligan. It's not like I'm abandoning him. Why would I be a hooligan? Who said that you can't be together forever when you're in love? The system finally realized that there was a problem with his host's view of love. No, there was a problem with the host's entire person. He hadn't noticed it before, but he realized it today. "Host, do you know that there's a problem with you? Eat." Without waiting for Tang Guo's reply, Wei Yu came back with a tall disposable lunchbox and quickly placed it in front of Tang Guo. This was undoubtedly a very rich lunch with high nutritional value. Peak. Chapter 229. Tang Guo ate while grinning at Wei Yu, who was holding a lunchbox with an uncomfortable expression. "You said you don't like me. Why are you so concerned about me? Wei Yu." He regretted it. Yes, what did he do just now? Who the hell knew why he did that? Wei Yu suspected that he was possessed, which was why he did such an unreasonable thing. He quickly gobbled down his food without caring about his image, trying to distract himself from his wild thoughts. He was just helping her a little because they were classmates. You've never liked to help your classmates. You've done so much today. If you don't like me, you have to make it clear. Otherwise, everyone will misunderstand. Tang Guo ate with relish. But it's futile for you to explain. I used to think that you had a crush on me. Now that you've done so many things that don't fit your behavior, You can't clear your name no matter how you explain. Wei Yu. Why didn't he just starve her to death? Just now, you hurriedly carried me from the classroom to the infirmary and carefully carried me from the infirmary to the classroom. Everyone in the school saw it. Now, rumors about me should be spreading everywhere outside. If you don't believe me, look at the forum. There might be photos of you carrying me. Wei Yu's expression was very interesting when he heard Tang Guo's words. He had already thought of the consequences. He looked at Tang Guo coldly. The latter smiled helplessly, as if saying that he was the one who did it. She didn't ask him to wipe his face. His innocence had been ruined by this woman. My innocence has been ruined by you. From today onwards, whether it's outside or inside the school, everyone knows that I'm your person. Wei Yu couldn't even hold his chopsticks. Fuck her. He was just concerned about his classmates. He pursed his lips. It seemed that no matter how he explained, it was useless. I heard that you have a lot of enemies. Wei Yu's brows never relaxed, and his grip on his chopsticks tightened. In the future, when I leave the school gate, you have to protect me. Tang Guo looked at Wei Yu eagerly. After all, I'm already your person. Wei Yu. Could he not admit it and just leave? How would he know that she would stick to him after hugging him for a while? Just as he was feeling conflicted, Tang Guo suddenly smiled. All right, Wei Yu, don't be conflicted. I have a driver at home and my bodyguards outside the school. I don't need your protection. Tang Guo smiled. It's okay if you don't like me. Anyway, I know you have a crush on me. Thank you for helping me get food today. Wei Yu. Her style changed so quickly. He was prepared to say that she would call him when she went out of school in the future and that he would protect her. Seeing that she didn't care, he breathed a sigh of relief, but there was a faint sense of loss in his heart. After all, she was the daughter of the family Tang. After that incident, how could the family Tang not send someone to protect her? It was really strange that he was worried about this delusional woman. There must be something wrong with her. Tang Guo finished her meal slowly. Her appetite was quite good. On the other hand, Wei Yu was a little absent-minded. After eating, he threw away the trash and quickly walked out of the classroom. When he reached the door, he stopped again. For some reason, he turned around and said, "Remember to eat on time in the future. You're not fat." After saying that, he saw Tang Guo smiling, as if she knew that he cared about her. He patted his head in frustration and ran out of the classroom as if there was a female ghost chasing after him. Peak. Chapter 230. Some residents have reported that there is a strange smell coming from your house. Many children around the community have fainted from the smell coming from your house. This is our search warrant. Please cooperate with the inspection. Not long after Ji Xiaoxi cracked the egg, the strange smell spread out. When she saw the school bell group leader say that she couldn't crack it, she vaguely felt that something was wrong. The egg was too smelly. She didn't dare to take it out like this. She was secretly anxious about how to deal with the egg. She asked the school bell for help in the group. Unfortunately, Tang Guo was busy flirting with Wei Yu at that time and didn't have time to look at the group. Just like that, in less than 10 minutes, the smell of the broken egg spread out from the window. The children playing below, as well as the elderly, were all fainted by the smell and were sent to the hospital by their families. The entire community was filled with the indescribable smell, which had seriously affected the residents' lives. They chose to call the police. After the police investigated and found that the smell came from Ji Xiaoxi's house, they came to find her. I picked up this egg. I don't know what kind of egg it is. I just put it at home out of curiosity. I didn't expect it to emit such a smell. Ji Xiaoxi really wanted to cry. She didn't know that the egg couldn't be cracked. The group leader didn't say it clearly, so she couldn't explain it clearly now. No matter what Ji Xiaoxi said, she was still brought back to the police station by the police officers to cooperate with the investigation. Ji Xiaoxi had no choice but to call Fu Zhuo for help before going to the police station with the police officers. During the afternoon class, Tang Guo didn't see Ji Xiaoxi. She glanced at the red packet group and found that Ji Xiaoxi had been looking for her for a long time. The corners of her mouth curled up slightly. Where's Ji Xiaoxi? She was taken to the police station. Many children and elderly in her community fainted from the smell. Oh, Tang Guo didn't pay attention to it anymore. Let Ji Xiaoxi have a taste of being ostracized by everyone. She didn't know if those people would ask them to move. She was a little curious. After the egg was broken, there was no harm in it. It was just very smelly. Host, Wei Yu is peeking at you. The system felt like a fucking dog. It could already detect that Wei Yu's heartbeat was abnormal when he looked at its host. Wei Yu had fallen into the host's hands. To be honest, he was a little disappointed. After all, Wei Yu was the first person who managed to hold on for so long in the hands of the host. Who knew that it was because the host wasn't serious about flirting at all. As a result, the moment she flirted, she fell. Fu Zhuoshu isn't here either. Did he go to the police station to visit Ji Xiaoxi? The corner of Tang Guo's mouth lifted into a smile. It was extremely bright and beautiful, causing Wei Yu's heart to pound wildly. He hurriedly lowered his head and pretended that he didn't see anything. She was clearly not good-looking now, but the more he looked at her, the more he wanted to look at her. He must be sick, Wei Yu thought in confusion. He would skip class tomorrow and not come. After school in the afternoon, Wei Yu didn't rush out of the classroom immediately. Instead, he secretly observed his deskmate. Seeing that Tang Guo had been doing her homework, he couldn't help but ask, "You didn't bring your homework home?" "Well, it's not that much. I'll go back after I'm done. It'll be 6:30 when I'm done. There are drivers and bodyguards outside the school." Wei Yu didn't say anything and sat silently in his seat. Everyone in the class knew that Tang Guo had the habit of going home after finishing her homework. After everyone greeted her, they glanced at Wei Yu ambiguously and left with smiles. Wei Yu. So angry. Peak. Chapter 231. At 6:30 p.m., Tang Guo finished her homework. She packed her bag and realized that Wei Yu was still there. She asked curiously, "Aren't you going home? The classroom is quite quiet. I'll sit for a while." Wei Yu's mind wandered. "Oh, I'm going home. Take your time." Tang Guo left the classroom. When she went down the stairs, she felt someone behind her. She turned around and saw Wei Yu slowly following behind. "You're not sitting?" Wei Yu's expression was unnatural as he shouted, "Go your way. Why do you care what I do? If I want to sit, I'll sit. If I don't want to sit, I won't sit." After shouting, he regretted it a little. He turned his face away, not daring to see if the person in front of him would cry from being shouted at. After waiting for a while, he realized that there was no movement. He looked up and saw that it was empty. Tang Guo's figure had disappeared. He panicked and hurriedly chased after her. Only then did he realize that she was carrying her bag and walking towards the school gate. Her steps were neither fast nor slow. He ran very quickly and caught up to her side. He couldn't see any expression from the side of her face, and she didn't cry. He was still a little flustered. Then, Tang Guo stopped and turned to look at him. "Why? Is there anything else, Student Wei?" Tang Guo narrowed her eyes. "Are you going to confess to me?" "Wei Yu." He was still so angry. Was there something wrong with this woman's brain? He had already shouted at her, but she didn't seem angry. But he wasn't sure. Her tone was indeed too calm just now. If you want to confess, hurry up. My driver has been waiting for a long time. I'm not going to confess to you." Wei Yu turned around and left angrily. This detestable woman, he must have seen a ghost to be afraid of her anger. Thinking about it, he felt a little wronged. He was just worried. What the hell? Why would he be worried about her? The system sighed. It had fallen. After watching Tang Guo get into the car, Wei Yu went in another direction. He turned back 3 times to make sure that there was no shadow of the car before running away quickly. Wei Yu walked to the alley outside Second High School. There were already many brothers waiting for him. When they saw him, they hurriedly came up to him. "Boss, why are you so late today?" Wei Yu's face was cold. "Where's Ma Mao?" "Don't worry, we're watching. This time, he won't be able to escape." They knew that there was a grudge between their boss and Ma Mao. They were used to having conflicts with each other every 2 to 3 days. Let's go and find him. Wei Yu's aggressive manner made the people below very excited. With their boss here today, they would definitely get back at him. Previously, when their boss was not around, a few of their brothers had beaten up Ma Mao's men. Wei Yu suddenly thought of that originally unbelievably beautiful face. Now, there was a very large and hideous scar. He stopped in his tracks. Did Ma Mao pour sulfuric acid on a girl? Boss, why are you asking this? Is that so? Yes, the Ma family has been suppressing this matter, so there is no news about it. I heard that the girl is from number 1 middle school. Wei Yu clenched his fists and remained silent as he continued walking forward. After walking for a while, Wei Yu stopped again, causing his subordinates to be confused. There's a girl called Tang Guo in my class. Go and acknowledge her another day. Don't bully her in the future. If you see someone bullying her, remember to go up and help. Boss, is it sister-in-law? The subordinates asked excitedly. Wei Yu's face darkened. No. Subordinates, it must be. Do you remember? Yes, boss. We will definitely protect sister-in-law well. Peek. Chapter 232. Did you get into a fight? After class, Tang Guo looked at Wei Yu, whose face was bruised and swollen, with a smile. Wei Yu was creeped out by her strange gaze. He should have skipped class today. Damn it, he really didn't know if he was possessed this morning. It's none of your business. Tang Guo smiled and took out a bottle of wine from her bag and placed it in front of Wei Yu. Here, my future boyfriend might be a hooligan. Fortunately, I'm prepared. Wipe it. Your face is so handsome. It won't look good with injuries. Wei Yu's expression became more and more strange. He didn't dare to look at Tang Guo. Tang Guo must be crazy. She said it so loudly. Was she afraid that others couldn't hear her? Looking at the eyes of the other students in the class, he was so angry that he couldn't explain it clearly. Are you waiting for me to help you apply medicine? Tang Guo pretended to go over to take the wine. Wei Yu seemed to be frightened and quickly took the wine in his hand. He said anxiously, no need, I'll do it myself. Okay, you do it yourself, boyfriend. You. Wei Yu pursed his lips. Don't talk nonsense. Aya, we've already hugged. I gave you medicine as your girlfriend just now, and you didn't deny it. Tang Guo blinked. Apply the medicine. I won't tease you anymore. I'm going to study. The final exam is coming soon. Tang Guo's gaze became more serious. This time, I'm going to get first place in the entire grade. Her voice wasn't soft, and everyone in the class heard it. Especially Fu Zhuoshu, who got first place in the entire grade last time, also heard it. The two of them didn't have much interaction. The only reason he remembered Tang Guo was because she was second place in grade 1 class 3 and third in the entire grade. Recently, Tang Guo's name was known by the entire school. Everyone knew that she had been splashed with sulfuric acid. Some people thought that she had offended someone. Only the students of grade 1 class 3 knew that she was completely innocent. But no matter how she explained, the others didn't believe her. Fu Zhuoshu had been in the corner, paying attention to this girl who was still beautiful even though her face was disfigured. Before Ji Xiaoxi appeared in his field of vision, he had paid the most attention to Tang Guo out of all the girls in this school. He didn't know when Ji Xiaoxi had taken up all of his attention, but when he saw Tang Guo, who often teased Wei Yu with a smile, he couldn't help but be attracted to her. He was a little confused. Was it Tang Guo or Ji Xiaoxi who attracted him? As soon as she entered number 1 middle school, Tang Guo was praised as the school belle. Her eyes were always on that little hooligan, Wei Yu, and she never looked at anyone else. Everyone said that campus belle Tang was pretty and smart, but he agreed that she was blind. He didn't know whether this was jealousy or not. Until Ji Xiaoxi appeared, he seemed to have deliberately ignored this person. Host, the male lead is peeking at you. Not to mention that the system had already been upgraded. Even before the upgrade, it was easy for the system to scan the surroundings to see if anyone was paying attention to Tang Guo. The system sighed. as expected of its host. She hadn't even flirted with him, yet the male lead had already fallen for her. What does him looking at me have to do with me? I'm not interested in him. Host, don't you think that seducing the male lead is the greatest revenge against Ji Xiaoxi? The system asked in confusion. Shouldn't a war between women be like this? Tang Guo sneered. In order to deal with Ji Xiaoxi, you want me to seduce someone I'm not interested in? I don't have that kind of free time. Wei Yu is still cuter. Just looking at him makes me want to tease him. So cute, so pure. His love must be very greedy. System, dog of a host. Peak. Chapter 233. Can you not look at me like that? Good student, you'd better focus on class. You've already successfully attracted the teacher's attention. Wei Yu really couldn't stand it anymore. When he was sleeping in class, a serious gaze was sweeping over him. Tang Guo's lips curled into a smile. Her gaze shifted and landed on Ji Xiaoxi, who was solving the problem. Ji Xiaoxi had received a lot of good things from the group. She had taken some pills that made her mind clear, and her brain had become much smarter. This semester, her results had improved a lot in many tests, which had attracted the teacher's attention. Occasionally, in class, she would be selected by the teacher to solve problems. Ji Xiaoxi was also happy to show off. Very good. Ji Xiaoxi has made great progress. The final exam is coming soon. Pay more attention to your revision. If you have any problems, you can come to the office to find me. Ji Xiaoxi revealed a sweet smile. Okay, teacher. She walked down under the envious gazes of her classmates. She subconsciously glanced at Tang Guo's seat and happened to meet Tang Guo's smiling face. She was a little flustered and hurriedly walked back to her seat. The next question. The teacher glanced at it. The guilty students lowered their heads, hoping to be ignored by the teacher. Tang Guo, come up. The teacher looked at Tang Guo with a bit of pity in his eyes. Such a beautiful girl was ruined just like that. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't angry. Tang Guo was not only beautiful, but her grades were also excellent. She was ranked third in the whole grade. Not everyone could pass the exam. The teachers of all subjects were very worried now. They didn't dare to look for Tang Guo for fear of increasing her psychological burden. Everyone looked at Tang Guo. School Beltang's grades were very good, but after that incident, they weren't sure if she could study in peace, especially since School Beltang was even more unscrupulous than before. Whether it was in class or after class, she kept flirting with Wei Yu. Could it be that she wanted to use this method to vent herself? Tang Guo walked up to the podium and held the chalk. She only swept the question on the blackboard and began to solve it. This was a geometric problem. According to the way a normal person solved the problem, they would definitely need to make some dotted and solid lines on the graph before solving it. Tang Guo, on the other hand, seemed to have a super powerful brain. She didn't need to draft at all. Fu Zhuoshu looked at the question on the blackboard and frowned slightly. This question was actually beyond the scope of the syllabus. He had seen it before in the second year of high school. Looking at the thin figure with her back facing him, he actually felt a little worried. Teacher, I'm done. Tang Guo took a step back and let everyone see the answer on the screen. Even if there was an answer, many students couldn't understand it. Those who understood it looked at Tang Guo with admiration. As expected of Campus Beltang, who had excellent grades, she even knew this question. The teacher was a little surprised. Correct. Absolutely correct. Tang Guo's answer is perfect. The teacher had already used Tang Guo's answer as the standard answer for the students. With the answers, the students really admired her more and more. Fu Zhuoshu's eyes also lit up. She seemed to be even more powerful than before. Even Wei Yu, who was sleeping on his stomach, woke up. He stole a glance at the girl sitting beside him from the corner of his eye. His heart was thumping faster and faster, and he couldn't stop it. How could this be? Was he sick? Why did his heart beat faster when he looked at her? Ji Xiaoxi buried her head, and her gaze was incomparably complicated. She secretly took out her phone and opened the plain communication group. Ji Xiaoxi, Ziyun Zhenren, I wonder if you have any pills that can make your brain smart? Peak. Chapter 234. Recently, the people in the group rarely traded with Ji Xiaoxi. Ji Xiaoxi was still using the stock that she had gotten from the group. She panicked when she couldn't trade for what she wanted. Everything she had was given to her by the plain trading group. If she couldn't get more benefits from it, what was the use of this group for her? In fact, what she wanted most from the group was cultivation methods. There were a total of 5 people in the group who should be from the cultivation plane: Ziyun Zhenren, Kai Xiao Zhenren, the sect leader of the Devil Sect, Piao Miao Fairy, and Wanderer Yinhuan. The ones she was familiar with were Kai Xiao Zhenren and Ziyun Zhenren. Basically, all the good things from the cultivation plane were from them. She mentioned it a few times, but the two didn't agree. They said that cultivation methods couldn't be passed around casually, so as not to create unknown karma. Ji Xiaoxi snorted at this. They weren't from the same plane, so what karma? They were probably just making excuses because she couldn't take out the corresponding good things. Ji Xiaoxi, Kai Xiao Zhenren, are you there? Kai Xiao Zhenren, I don't know how to refine pills, and I've never heard of a pill that can make the brain smart. Cultivators are all very smart. Kai Xiao Zhenren was telling the truth. After stepping into the door of cultivation, even a fool could gradually become smart. It wasn't that such a pill couldn't be refined, but that no one used it at all. Ji Xiaoxi, Ziyun Zhenren, are you there? Is what Kai Xiao Zhenren said true? Being questioned, Kai Xiao Zhenren snorted coldly and didn't want to pay attention to Ji Xiaoxi anymore. In the past half-month, Ji Xiaoxi's selfish nature had been exposed. Although the people in the group didn't say it, it didn't mean that they didn't understand. They knew clearly what she was thinking, but they didn't want to bother with a mortal. Previously, she wanted to get cultivation methods from them. Did she really think they were stupid? If there were no cultivators in Ji Xiaoxi's plane and they gave her cultivation methods, she would do evil everywhere. At that time, karma would fall on them. It was a thankless task. Ziyun Zhenren, there really isn't such a pill. Ji Xiaoxi was a little discouraged, but she didn't want to give up. Ji Xiaoxi, then why did the elixir you exchanged with me make your mind clearer? Ziyun Zhenren, that is the marrow cleansing pill. Making the mind clear is just one of its side effects. This Tao master has recently comprehended a lot and is preparing to go into seclusion for a period of time. Sigh, actually, it was just that Ji Xiaoxi was too annoying. Otherwise, he really wouldn't be able to bear to part with the group members and the campus bell. Of course, what he was most reluctant to part with was the campus bell's delicious food. Then, Ji Xiaoxi asked the other group members, but all of them said that they had never seen such a medicine before. Emmanuel, who came from the Interstellar, said that they only had the gene modification agent. He didn't know if Ji Xiaoxi could use it. The serious consequences might cause her body to collapse. After all, they weren't from the same plane. The gene modification agent was only for his plane. Of course, Ji Xiaoxi wouldn't trade. This kind of medicine had no guarantee and might not even have an effect. What if she ate it and died? Campus bell, what are you talking about? Piao Miao Shenzi, Ji Xiaoxi is asking us if we have any pills that can make her smart. Piao Miao Shenzi, who had always been quiet, couldn't help but show her face when Tang Tang Guo appeared to deepen her impression. Campus bell, pills that can make her smart. Ji Xiaoxi's heart skipped a beat. She quickly sent a message. Group leader, do you have any? I'll trade with you. Top point. Chapter 235. Campus bell, I don't lack anything. I don't want to exchange. The people in the group thought so too. They hadn't seen the campus bell ask them for anything in the past few days. She seemed to be carrying a treasure with her. She had all kinds of strange things. Of course, Ji Xiaoxi knew that the group leader sent red packets every day, but she was unlucky. Out of 10 red packets sent by the group leader, she could only snatch one, and it was just ordinary food. She didn't know that with the interference of the system, she could only snatch whatever red packet Tangguo wanted her to snatch. Ji Xiaoxi, group leader, I really need that kind of pill. Please help me. I will remember your kindness. If you need anything in the future, I will definitely help you. This made everyone laugh. Who didn't know how to make empty promises? How could a mere mortal help the mysterious and powerful Campus Bell group leader? Campus Bell, do you really need it? But I don't like to give things to people for free. Ji Xiaoxi, I will exchange my best things with you. Everyone fell into deep thought when they saw that sentence. Recently, the Campus Bell had sent out red packets. Which one of them wasn't a treasure? And they were given to them for free. But now she said that she didn't like to give things to people for free. They didn't think that the Campus Bell was forced to give them things. They even felt that she liked to share things with them. Then, the problem was with Ji Xiaoxi. Everyone was smart. They instantly understood that the Campus Bell didn't like Ji Xiaoxi. With this knowledge, their impression of Ji Xiaoxi worsened by a few notches. If the Campus Bell didn't like Ji Xiaoxi, it meant that there was something wrong with her. They should avoid contact with Ji Xiaoxi in the future, especially if they couldn't win against Ji Xiaoxi's request. If they were nice to Ji Xiaoxi, they would offend the Campus Bell. It wasn't worth it. Tang Guo didn't know that one sentence would make this group of people think so much and continue to trick Ji Xiaoxi. Campus Bell, sure. In the end, Ji Xiaoxi listed out the things she had. They were all things she got from these people in the group. Ji Xiaoxi, who was in a hurry to get good results in the final exam, completely forgot that there was a group of people watching. When she took out those things, it made people feel strange. However, when they thought about how these things would end up in the hands of the school bell, they didn't feel so bad anymore. Campus Bell, one pill has a 1-hour effect. Actually, I don't need these things. I'll give you 5 pills instead. Ji Xiaoxi, thank you, group leader. Half an hour was 1 hour, so she had 5 hours to become abnormally smart. Ji Xiaoxi said goodbye to everyone and secretly put away her phone. She subconsciously stole a glance in the direction of Tang Guo. Seeing that Tang Guo had been listening to the lecture, she breathed a sigh of relief and quickly turned her gaze to the blackboard. When she turned around, Tang Guo looked up and glanced at her. Her lips curled into a smile, but her consciousness didn't leave the plain trading group. School bell, Ji Xiaoxi is an ordinary person. In the future, don't take out items that have too big of an impact, lest you create unresolvable karma. The people in the group were shocked and suddenly understood why the school bell wanted to exchange these things. School bell, forget about ordinary pills. Like curse talismans and good luck charms, don't exchange them with her. If she uses them on innocent people, who do you think will be responsible for this karma? The top. Chapter 236. Margaret, thank you for your reminder. I didn't think of that. Emmanuel, school beauty, will there be any problems with the plastic surgery device I gave you? Emmanuel was a little scared and regretted what would happen, although he didn't know what the cause and effect was. But because advanced technology fell into the hands of some backward civilizations, it was very likely that there would be irreversible consequences. This kind of thing happened in the past, causing that civilization to develop rapidly. A lost item in the galaxy was finally swallowed by that civilization. It could be said that it was a tragedy. That backward civilization developed because of that advanced technology, and finally used that technology to find the existence of the galaxy. If the race in Ji Xiaoxi's plane was also so smart, wouldn't he bring danger to their galaxy? School beauty, it's just a plastic surgery device. It's not a big problem. In the future, don't give them technology beyond their technology. She's an ordinary person and doesn't understand cause and effect. Don't give things carelessly. Emmanuel breathed a sigh of relief. In the future, he should trade less with Ji Xiaoxi. She seemed very untrustworthy. Before leaving the plane trading group, Tang Guo also asked the system to clear the chat records. The people in the group were already used to it. The school beauty was the group leader. Didn't she just clear the chat records? Tang Guo glanced at Ji Xiaoxi's position. Seeing the hidden excitement in Ji Xiaoxi's eyes, she smiled. Host, when did you get your hands on such a smart pill? You're not lying to her, are you? It's indeed a pill that can make the brain smarter. Why don't I believe that you're so kind? I don't have good intentions. Host, please no. Just wait and see. There's no point in spoilers. The system was speechless. Host, have you noticed? My ability is getting stronger and stronger. Host, I hope that you can be happy in every world. That way, I can level up faster. The system didn't intend to hide this secret. It wasn't a bad thing. He promised that after the host knew, it would help him level up faster. After all, they were teammates, weren't they? Oh, my happiness is good for you. Yes, yes. It's because you're happy in these few worlds that I leveled up. My energy increased very quickly. I can help you in the future. Tangwa nodded. No wonder you're acting cute instead of warning me that I'll be erased. System, you're a dog. In the last class in the morning, Teacher Ren gave out the papers for them to practice on their own. 10 minutes before class ended, Tangwa's deskmate, Wei Yu, sneaked out of the classroom. The teacher sitting on the podium only took a glance and ignored him. Clearly, he was used to Wei Yu's behavior as long as he didn't affect the other students. 10 minutes later, the class ended. Ji Xiaoxi walked up to Fu Zhuoshu and smiled sweetly. Zhuoshu, do you want to go to the canteen together? Fu Zhuoshu did not answer as usual. Instead, he glanced at Tang Guo, who was only 2 seats away from him. Student Tang Guo, do you want to go together? He didn't notice that Ji Xiaoxi's expression had stiffened for a moment. When she lowered her head, her expression had already reached the point of madness. When she raised her head again, it was that girl with a sweet smile. No, my boyfriend brought me food. Tang Guo smiled and looked at Wei Yu, who had already walked to the door of the classroom with a lot of lunchboxes. When Wei Yu heard the word boyfriend, he almost fell. He really saw a ghost. Why did he have to skip class to get food? Was he crazy? Peek. Chapter 237. Boyfriend, you're so fast. Tang Guo stood up and went up to help Wei Yu take it. Wei Yu moved away and said with a sullen face, go and sit down. Okay, boyfriend, you're so considerate. Wei Yu, then I'll go to the cafeteria with Xiaoxi. Fu Zhuoshu didn't look anymore. At this moment, he finally confirmed that he was jealous of Wei Yu. This boy had attracted Tang Guo's attention from the beginning. He even held Ji Xiaoxi's hand in a fit of pique. The latter was a little surprised, but she didn't break free. Instead, she looked in Tang Guo's direction. Then, she saw Wei Yu helping Tang Guo open the lunchbox. He even inserted a straw into the drink and handed it to Tang Guo. The joy in Ji Xiaoxi's heart dissipated a lot. She silently followed Fu Zhuoshu downstairs. Boyfriend, you're so nice. Shut up and eat. Sigh, you didn't deny it. Wei Yu pursed his lips and didn't look at Tang Guo. He took a box of white rice and ate it with all his might. God knew why he bought rice for her. Don't just eat rice. Eat more vegetables, Tang Guo reminded him. You can't fight if you don't have enough nutrition. Who said I can't fight? Wei Yu almost jumped up. Ma Maro was beaten up by me and sent to the hospital. With that, he secretly glanced at Tang Guo as if to see her reaction. She only lowered her head and ate. He couldn't see any reaction from her. He continued, he won't be out of the hospital for 10 days. Father Wei didn't care about Wei Yu, but Wei Yu's mother's family was very powerful. Wei Yu had beaten up Ma Mao, so the Ma family really didn't dare to do anything to Wei Yu. As long as Wei Yu's maternal family was around, someone would protect him. Are you helping me vent my anger? Wei Yu felt a little depressed. He didn't know why, but when he suddenly heard Tang Guo's words, he was stunned for a moment and looked at the girl who was still smiling. His gaze landed on her cheek. There was a very hideous scar that was so glaring. For the first time, he seriously sized up her appearance. If it wasn't for that scar, she would definitely be very beautiful. He clenched his fists, thinking that he had been too lenient yesterday. He lowered his head and continued to eat, but he was thinking about what excuse he should use to beat Ma Maro next time. I knew that my boyfriend's heart is very soft. Wei Yu didn't say anything. He was used to it. It was as if she would feel uncomfortable if she didn't tease him for a day. He didn't even realize that he had reached a point of indulgence towards her. Wei Yu ate very quickly. After eating, he did not leave immediately. Instead, he waited for Tang Guo to finish eating slowly before throwing away the trash. Then, he ran out of the classroom like a mad dog. "What do you want to drink? I'll bring it back for you later." Running to the door, Wei Yu turned around and asked subconsciously, completely forgetting that there were other students around. His behavior confirmed the fact that he was friends with Tang Guo. Tang Guo smiled. "I'll drink whatever my boyfriend brings." Wei Yu was so scared that he hurriedly ran away. This time, it seemed that there was really a mad dog chasing after him. The others laughed in surprise. Ji Xiaoxi had also just returned to the classroom. She couldn't help but go to Tang Guo's side. "Ji Xiaoxi, what's the matter?" Ji Xiaoxi secretly glanced at Fu Zhuoshu, who was doing the questions, and sat beside Tang Guo. "Are you really with Wei Yu?" "Can't I be?" No, I just didn't expect it." Ji Xiaoxi heaved a sigh of relief. That was good too. This way, no one would snatch Fu Zhuoshu from her. Tang Guo narrowed her eyes. "Is there anything else?" "No, nothing else." Ji Xiaoxi looked at Tang Guo's face and felt very guilty. She quickly returned to her seat. The Peak. Chapter 238. The final exam arrived as scheduled, and the entire school entered a tense state. The exam was to arrange the seats and number them. There were students from different classes in the same examination hall, so they were arranged according to their ranking. Tang Guo was third in the entire cohort last time, so she was naturally in the third seat. The first seat was Fu Zhuoshu. When he walked in, he subconsciously glanced at Tang Guo's seat. He didn't know what to think, but he walked in front of Tang Guo. "Good luck." Without waiting for Tang Guo to say anything, he returned to his seat. "What's wrong with you?" The system snorted. "The male lead has a crush on you." "What does it have to do with me? I don't have a crush on him." "Isn't he with Ji Xiaoxi? Why would he still have a crush on me?" The system snorted. Substitute joke. The host was the male lead's true love, and Ji Xiaoxi was a substitute. "It's none of my business either." Tang Guo sneered. It was really none of her business whether she had taken the initiative to provoke the other party or not. If she wanted to blame someone, she could only blame her charm for being too great. She always made people unable to control themselves. The first exam was Chinese. After Tang Guo received the paper, she didn't raise her head again. She had traveled through so many worlds, and with her intelligent brain, any exam would be a piece of cake. The entire classroom could only hear the sound of shuffling. An hour later, Tang Guo handed in her paper. She didn't check it because she was confident enough. Fu Zhuoshu couldn't help but look up at her back. A kind of worry that he didn't know about rose in his eyes. When she walked out of the classroom, she met Wei Yu, who was leaning against the railing. She smiled at him. "Boyfriend, you're so dedicated. Are you waiting for me here?" "Wei Yu, you must not have done well. You came out so early." Tang Guo said firmly, "I guess you didn't write your reading comprehension, poetry, and essay." Wei Yu's mouth stiffened. She didn't guess wrong. She guessed very accurately. He quickly reacted and walked in front of Tang Guo. He was very tall and looked down at Tang Guo. His slightly deep eyes stared at her. "Did you fail the exam?" According to the understanding of ordinary people, the Chinese exam only took an hour, so the results definitely wouldn't be too good. Wei Yu understood it as well. "I'll take you to eat ice cream." Wei Yu put his hands in his pockets. "Are you going or not?" "Of course I'm going. Only a fool wouldn't go when my boyfriend is treating me." Tang Guo hurriedly ran to his side and didn't make any unnecessary movements. This is a school, it's hard to say if she was caught. Wei Yu walked with his long legs and left Tang Guo behind in a few steps. He thought of something and stopped in place to wait for Tang Guo to catch up before continuing to walk. This time, he deliberately controlled his speed so that Tang Guo wouldn't fall behind. The two of them walked side by side out of the school gate. "What kind do you like?" Tang Guo looked at the ice cream in the transparent freezer. She hesitated for a while before finally saying, "They all look delicious. It's not good for girls to eat too much cold food." She didn't know where Wei Yu had heard this from. "Why don't you have a small piece of each and fill a bowl?" He was asking Tang Guo. Seeing Tang Guo nod happily, he heaved a sigh of relief. Girls were really troublesome. It was undoubtedly very expensive to buy ice cream like this. A small bowl cost Wei Yu 200 yuan. But he didn't seem to care. He didn't eat the ice cream and just watched Tang Guo eat. Tang Guo held the bowl and ate while Wei Yu accompanied her. Not long after, a group of boys dressed in plain clothes walked over and smiled at Tang Guo. Boss, is this sister-in-law? Wei Yu, hello, sister-in-law. Tang Guo looked up and smiled. Hello. These hooligans also saw the big scar on Tang Guo's face and were surprised. Wei Yu frowned. What are you doing here? He didn't deny the way his underling addressed Tang Guo. Chapter 239. Wei Yu, why are you with her? She's so ugly. The delinquent girl who spoke was the girl who said that Tang Guo was ugly last time. She stared at Tang Guo with disgust. Didn't you say that she was a good student? Today is the first year's exam, and she's actually fooling around outside. The others smiled embarrassedly and didn't dare to answer. They also secretly glanced at Wei Yu and Tang Guo, as if confirming their relationship. The hooligans who were warned by Wei Yu last time were very sure that this should be their sister-in-law. Otherwise, why would their boss ask them to pay attention to her? Also, last time, their boss asked if Ma Maro had poured sulfuric acid on a girl. Now, they finally understood why their boss was so ruthless and directly sent Ma Maro to the hospital. Wei Yu, you must have nothing to do with her, right? How can such an ugly person be worthy of you? The more the delinquent girl spoke, the more she felt that her guess was correct. She became more and more excited and didn't notice that Wei Yu's face was getting uglier and uglier. He carefully looked at Tang Guo and saw that she was digging into the ice cream with her head buried in her mouth. His heart tightened and he raised his head to glare at the delinquent girl. The delinquent girl was shocked. Whoever says that she's ugly again, get lost. If you don't want to be beaten up, shut up. The delinquent girl was frightened. She couldn't believe that Wei Yu would scold her because of Tang Guo. She pursed her lips and almost cried. Wei Yu glared at her and she didn't dare to cry. Boss, is this sister-in-law? Some of the lackeys still didn't dare to confirm and couldn't help but ask. Wei Yu looked at Tang Guo, who didn't raise her head, gritted his teeth and said, yes, from today onwards, she's your sister-in-law. Remember, you're not allowed to speak ill of her. Whoever dares to bully her, beat them up. Yes, boss. Wei Yu had absolute prestige in their hearts. Even if their sister-in-law was different from what they imagined, they didn't have any thoughts. The delinquent girl didn't want to believe the truth and ran away crying. Anyway, you're not ugly. Wei Yu didn't know how to comfort her. He walked in front of Tang Guo and said, don't worry, with me around, no one will dare to talk nonsense about you. I'll protect you from now on. This was the first time he had made a promise. He did not know how long he could protect her. However, when he saw her being called ugly and lowering her head, his heart ached for a moment. His mind was filled with scenes of her being bullied and scolded. He really wanted to chop those people up with his knife. At this moment, he wanted to rush in front of Ma Maro and pour a bucket of sulfuric acid on him. The surroundings were very quiet. Those who were familiar with Wei Yu knew that he was not someone who liked to make promises. There were many girls who liked Wei Yu, but he had never cared about them. Tang Guo was the first person to make their boss say these words in front of everyone. In their hearts, they also recognized her as their sister-in-law. Hey, say something. Seeing that Tang Guo didn't raise her head, Wei Yu's heart tightened. He gently patted her thin shoulder. I've already said that I'll help you. Why aren't you saying anything? Boyfriend. Tang Guo raised her head, still with a smile on her face. Do you admit our relationship? Wei Yu looked at her smiling face and felt bad. So she wasn't crying. He thought she was crying. He regretted it. Why would she cry? She took pleasure in bullying him every day. Why would she be sad because of the words of a delinquent girl? He took a deep breath. Remembering that there were still lackeys around, he couldn't deny it and took back what he wanted to say. Boyfriend, I want to eat another ice cream. Is that okay? Wei Yu was speechless. In the end, He turned around and went to the ice cream shop to buy ice cream. Lackeys, as expected of sister-in-law. Boss even has the ability to pamper others. Peak. Chapter 240. The 2 days of the final exam passed quickly. Tang Guo's exam went very smoothly. After every exam, she would see Wei Yu waiting outside when she left the classroom. This naturally attracted the attention of many teachers. They specially checked Tang Guo's exam paper and then chose to ignore the two of them wandering around outside. On the other hand, Ji Xiaoxi's exam went quite smoothly. Because she had the extreme intelligence pill, she would take one in advance for every exam. Her speed was not fast, so she would choose to do the difficult questions first. However, when she took the science exam, there were too many difficult questions. She had to secretly take the last pill to deal with the next question. Extreme intelligence didn't mean that one would become omniscient. It just meant that one would become extremely intelligent at that time and be able to draw inferences about other things from one instance. If one were to take such a pill and continue learning, it would be twice the result with half the effort. If it was used for exams, she would still not know the questions that she did not know. It was impossible to learn them out of thin air. Tang Guo knew Ji Xiaoxi too well, which was why she gave her 5 pills. She knew that Ji Xiaoxi would only use these 5 pills for exams and not to calm down and study. If Ji Xiaoxi used the pills to review every subject, her final exam results would definitely be in the top 5. Unfortunately, it was used in the wrong place. After the exam, Ji Xiaoxi felt a little uneasy because she could not understand the questions that she had never seen before. However, when she had seen a little of the questions, her mind would immediately become clear. Therefore, she did not doubt the effect of this pill at all. She even checked the answers with Fu Zhuoshu and realized that as long as she had seen the types of questions, she would answer correctly. However, she was still very worried. She handed in her papers in advance for every exam. Ji Xiaoxi secretly heaved a sigh of relief. When she heard this from Fu Zhuoshu, she was really a little happy. This time, the questions of the final exam were very difficult. Even with the extremely smart pill, she still felt that it was a little difficult to convert. Yes. Fu Zhuoshu did not notice Ji Xiaoxi's expression. He was thinking about Tang Guo. A few days later, the results of the final exam were released. Ji Xiaoxi sat in the classroom. She was still very nervous, but this time, she was very relaxed. She still looked in Tang Guo's direction from time to time, trying to analyze something from her expression. Tang Guo raised her eyebrows slightly. What is she expecting? Looking forward to the host failing the exam. The system said straightforwardly. Tang Guo smiled. Wei Yu no longer slept on his stomach. Occasionally, he would secretly glance at Tang Guo. This was a habit he had developed recently. He couldn't take his eyes off her every frown and smile. It doesn't matter if you fail, Wei Yu said. I'll be at the bottom anyway. Tang Guo giggled. Boyfriend, you look very anxious. Don't worry, the first place will definitely be mine. At this moment, the homeroom teacher walked up. He smiled and said happily, this time, the students in our class have made great progress, and 2 of them are very worthy of praise. Student Ji Xiaoxi, compared to the middle of the semester, you have risen by 20 places. This time, you are ranked 11th in the class and 19th in the entire grade. It can be said that you have made great progress. Ji Xiaoxi revealed a bashful smile as she heaved a sigh of relief. Being in the top 11 of the class and 19th in the entire grade was something she did not dare to think about. The other one is our student Tang Guo. The homeroom teacher pushed up his glasses. Originally, student Tang Guo was in the top 3 of the grade and 2nd in the class. Congratulations to student Tang Guo for obtaining 1st place in the entire grade. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone was shocked. The peak. Chapter 241. Let me tell you another piece of good news. Student Tang Guo only lost 1 point in Chinese. The form teacher was very excited. They all thought that Tang Guo's results would definitely not be too good this time. They really didn't expect her to be so surprising. This was too inspirational. Could this be the legendary turning grief into strength? Therefore, they reached a tacit understanding in private. No matter what Tang Guo did, as long as she didn't break the law and her results didn't fall behind, she liked Wei Yu and wanted to be friends with him. Thinking of this, their impression of the poor student Wei Yu became much better. Ji Xiaoxi grabbed her thigh tightly and stared in disbelief. Tang Guo only lost 1 point, and it was Chinese. Needless to say, it must have been her essay. However, this was no different from getting full marks. Fu Zhuoshu was also very surprised. His eyes never left Tang Guo. She really surprised him. She was really surprising. She didn't have a beautiful appearance, but she was still so dazzling. With her around, everyone's eyes would be attracted to her. Fu Zhuoshu retracted his gaze and couldn't help but press his heart. He smiled bitterly. He had to admit that he had noticed her from the beginning, but it wasn't obvious in the past. Now, he understood, but he still didn't have a chance. In her eyes, there was only Wei Yu. Sigh, boyfriend, your results are really bad. Tang Guo flipped through Wei Yu's test paper. At a glance, she could tell that Wei Yu probably didn't even look at the questions and wrote randomly. Naturally, his final result would definitely be the last place. But he's quite compatible with me. The first place and the last place are boyfriend and girlfriend. Just thinking about it makes me feel a little emotional. Wei Yu. Were all girls nowadays thinking like this? Ji Xiaoxi scratched her hair in pain. Suddenly, she felt that something was not right. She tugged at her hair forcefully. Then, she felt a furry ball in her hand. Subconsciously, she took it down and saw a big clump of hair. She was immediately stunned. Xiaoxi, you're losing your hair? No, Xiaoxi, all the hair on your head is gone. Her deskmate quickly took out a small mirror and handed it to Ji Xiaoxi. Ji Xiaoxi looked at the mirror in a daze and then saw that she was peerless. Ji Xiaoxi's scream attracted everyone's attention. Then, everyone in grade 1, class 3 saw Ji Xiaoxi's peerless appearance. Ji Xiaoxi reacted and hurriedly covered her head with her hands. In the end, he touched the loose hair on top of his head and pulled out the remaining hair on top of his head. His bald head was exposed, making people want to laugh but feel embarrassed to do so. The homeroom teacher. Looks like Ji Xiaoxi has been working really hard recently. There aren't many students like her. Teacher, I have to go first. Ji Xiaoxi held back her tears and did not care about other people's gazes. The form teacher nodded. Go ahead. You've been working hard recently. Go to the hospital to see what's going on. Ji Xiaoxi nodded absent-mindedly. She hugged her bag and ran out. Her footsteps were so frantic that she even forgot to greet Fu Zhuoshu. After Ji Xiaoxi left, the class burst into laughter. The homeroom teacher knocked on the table sternly. Ji Xiaoxi is doing this for her studies. How can you mock her efforts? Everyone stopped laughing. But they vaguely heard a low sneer. They silently looked at Tang Guo's seat. Beauty Tang was laughing in school. Homeroom teacher, didn't you see it? The homeroom teacher. I chose to ignore it. Would he be so stupid to scold the top student? Speaking of which, Tang Guo was even more impressive. She was not even the top student in the entire grade. The top. Chapter 242. News of Ji Xiaoxi going to the extreme for her studies spread quickly throughout No. 1 middle school. Today was the day to collect their results, and the holidays would follow. Everyone would be busy having fun and wouldn't pay much attention to this. However, Ji Xiaoxi was in the limelight recently. First, she had turned from an ugly, fat girl with bad grades into a goddess a few months ago. She had even opened a social media account. She often posted her thoughts on weight loss, beauty, and studies on her social media account. Many people in No. 1 middle school followed her and were her fans. Second, Ji Xiaoxi had won over Fu Zhuoshu's heart. A few days ago, she and Fu Zhuoshu were seen walking hand in hand on the streets. It was impossible not to attract attention. When Ji Xiaoxi ran out of the classroom because of her extreme results, many girls shared the news in various groups. They even made a post on the school forum, saying that they had seen Ji Xiaoxi's shiny head with their own eyes. Then, the whole school was in an uproar. Many fans on Ji Xiaoxi's social media account asked if Beauty Ji had really gone to the extreme for her final exams. Ji Xiaoxi didn't pay attention to these. She ran home and looked in the mirror. The girl in the mirror was very beautiful, but her shiny head made her go crazy. How could this be? Ji Xiaoxi didn't understand. The first thing she thought of was that there was something wrong with the plastic surgery equipment Emmanuel from the galaxy gave her. Modern people had a common belief that high-tech products would inevitably have a lot of radiation. Long-term use would cause all kinds of problems and affect one's health. Ever since she got the equipment, she used it every day. She would fix any part of her body that didn't look good and make it more perfect. Emmanuel, that's impossible. What I have are all qualified products. Radiation? You're thinking too much. There's no radiation in the places where we live in the galaxy. We have special equipment to block radiation. Ji Xiaoxi was about to cry. Then why did my hair fall out? Emmanuel was actually a little impatient. He had kindly changed Ji Xiaoxi's equipment to a better one, but he didn't expect her to doubt him. He didn't have a good impression of Ji Xiaoxi. She had doubted his equipment. He was a highly respected plastic surgeon in the galaxy and had never been treated like this before. Even the members of the imperial family would inevitably have their bodies deformed due to various battles, and they would still need to come to him to recover. This Ji Xiaoxi was indeed different from him. The school bell was right. He should avoid contact with her in the future. Emmanuel, anyway, there's nothing wrong with my plastic surgery equipment. If you don't believe me, you can give it back to me. As for what you gave me, I can compensate you with other things. He was just being polite. After all, what Ji Xiaoxi had given him was just some ordinary food. What he had given her was a high-grade cosmetic instrument that was hard to buy even in the interstellar galaxy. Ji Xiaoxi didn't think so. She was only thinking about her own situation. Then what are you going to give me in exchange? Do you have any way to make my hair grow back? Emmanuel was really impatient. This ancient ape wasn't smart at all. He was just being polite and she took it seriously. Now, he was no longer worried that Ji Xiaoxi would bring any danger to the interstellar vertex. Chapter 243. Emmanuel was unhappy, but if he could get the plastic surgery instrument back, he would endure it this time. He really didn't want to have any contact with Ji Xiaoxi anymore. The others were also silently lurking in the group. They once again recognized Ji Xiaoxi's selfishness. In any case, Emmanuel had helped her and taught her so much about beauty. Her behavior was really disappointing. Tang Guo was also paying attention. Seeing Ji Xiaoxi looking for trouble, she had no intention of stopping her. In fact, she didn't expect Ji Xiaoxi to look for trouble like this. Everyone in the group wasn't simple. Getting along with them would be a great benefit to Ji Xiaoxi. It's all because of your appearance that she lost her halo. Without her halo, of course, people won't believe her so easily. They won't be confused, and it's easier to see her true nature. What's so strange about that? Host, you've been through so many worlds. We've seen so many idiotic protagonists with a halo. All the supporting characters and villains' IQs are going in the negative direction. If that's the case, I'm a little envious of the lucky ones. Forget it, host. You're the one who can directly kill the lucky ones and erase their halo. Don't be envious. They might even be envious of you. The system was suspicious of its host's background. To be honest, it was bound to its host the moment it was conscious. Then, the two of them started to complete missions. Its past and the host's past, the two of them didn't know. The group was silent for a while. Ji Xiaoxi was a little impatient. There was news from Emmanuel. Emmanuel, I have a new hair tonic here. It's very effective here. Soldiers who go out to war often can't grow hair for various reasons. After using this hair tonic, they'll grow new hair. But let me say this first. I don't know if it's useful to you. If you're doubtful, you can try it on a small animal. No problem. Ji Xiaoxi saw hope. How could she refuse? She held the small plastic surgery instrument and was a little reluctant to part with it. But when she thought of how awkward it would be to look at her current appearance, She gritted her teeth and sent the instrument to the group in the form of a red packet. Similarly, Emmanuel sent 2 bottles of hair tonic to Ji Xiaoxi. Ji Xiaoxi, who received the hair tonic, didn't use it immediately. She was a little suspicious of Interstellar's products. She hurriedly said goodbye to the people in the group and prepared to buy 2 rabbits. She wanted to shave their fur and see the effects of the hair tonic. Ziyun Zhenren, I'm scared. I'm scared. Kai Xiaozhenjuan, I'm scared, I'm scared. Sect leader of the Devil Sect, +1, Margaret, add a page of spells. After confirming that Ji Xiaoxi wasn't paying attention to the group, Tang Guo appeared. Campus bell, what happened? Emmanuel, who was afraid of being cheated, seemed to have found someone to confide in. Campus bell, I really shouldn't have been so kind as to change her plastic surgery instrument. The plastic surgery device that Ji Xiaoxi had snatched was only the first version. He had used it to show off to the group. Later, after he got to know Ji Xiaoxi better, he found out that she was very interested in plastic surgery, so he sent her the most advanced version that he had produced later. Now, the other party actually suspected that there was a problem with his plastic surgery equipment. Anyone would feel stifled. Not many people would feel comfortable if their good intentions were treated as ill intent. Emmanuel smiled bitterly. How would I know? I was kind enough to help her change her plastic surgery instrument, but in the end, she didn't like it and even suspected that there was a problem. Vertex. Chapter 244. It's just radiation. With our current technology, we've already overcome it. It's impossible for such a problem to occur. All the technology we use on humans has 0 radiation. If there's even the slightest problem, it'll be overturned and seized. The more Emmanuel spoke, the more unhappy he became. He made a mental note of this stupid ancient ape. Tang Guo laughed. It's fine if you take it back. In the future, you should be more careful when giving things. Emmanuel, it's fine if you're from the interstellar. Especially if you're from the cultivation plane or the magic plane. Here, I'll send you some red packets. These are some tasty things I got from a demon world. Hearing that it was red, the group members were very enthusiastic. As for what Tang Guo said about the things she got from a certain world, they no longer doubted it. These days, they had never seen a big shot who could travel between worlds at will. In their hearts, they had long regarded Tang Guo as a very powerful person, the kind that they worshipped. After eating and drinking, they saw with their own eyes that the red packet records with Tang Guo had disappeared. They were a little surprised. As expected of the group leader, the system seemed to have sensed their thoughts and snickered. Hiding its achievements and fame, the system was indeed amazing. Ziyun Zhenren, school bell, why did Ji Xiaoxi lose her hair? Do you know the situation? They subconsciously thought that Tang Guo was omnipotent. School bell, you'll have to ask about the specific situation. Didn't Emmanuel give her hair tonic? Ziyun Zhenren, I'm just asking. I'm curious. He always felt that it wasn't that simple. This was his intuition as a cultivator. He vaguely felt that this matter had something to do with the school bell. Tang Guo remembered something and asked, I forgot to ask you one thing. How did you get into this group? Ziyun Zhenren, one day, when I came out of seclusion, this thing suddenly appeared in my mind. It really scared me. At the same time, the sect leader of the Devil Sect, Kai Xiaozhenren, also appeared. Later, one after another, other people appeared. General Billy, this group appeared on my optical computer after I was heavily injured. Emmanuel, I'm different. I've had it since I was born. Tang Guo was shocked. Was this even possible? Margaret, one day, I discovered a strange spell. As I chanted it, the group appeared, and my name was automatically generated. Tang Guo's knowledge was refreshed. How could this be? Recite an incantation? The system also felt that it was inconceivable. Goodness gracious, the experiences of these people were really beyond its imagination. Margaret, Alan, Harold, hurry up and come out. The school bell wants to ask you how this group came to be there. Alan, I was fighting with Harold at that time. Harold, Alan slashed me, but he didn't get off easy. I threw a magic ball at him and smashed him into a deep pit. Alan, after I crawled out of the hole, I found something strange in my mind. I even found Harold's name on the list. We had an argument in the group. Harold, Alan is a rude guy. Ziyun Junren can testify to that. Ziyun Sage also popped up. They were indeed quarreling fiercely. I heard that they even got into a fight later on. Perhaps it's because of this group that they went from being mortal enemies to being half-mortal enemies. Vertex. Chapter 245. Alan, it's because Harold is asking for a beating. His arrogant look really makes people want to whip him. Harold, it's all because he's too ugly. I can't help but throw a magic ball at him. I hope God sends a rolling stone down and smashes him to death. Seeing that the two were about to quarrel, Tangwa said, "Okay, I got it." Piaro Meow Fairy also joined in. Me. I snatched a transparent bead. It looked good and the spiritual power inside was also very abundant. Then, I couldn't help but eat it. I didn't expect that after eating it, such a thing would appear in my mind. It looked very interesting. I only dared to speak after diving for a while. Silver Hoop Sanren, I'm in the same situation as Piaro Meow. I also absorbed something with spiritual power and created this group. Originally, there were only 10 people in the group. After Ji Xiaoxi joined, there were 11 people. Then, Tangwa also joined, so now there are 12 people in the group. Tangwa found out from their words that no one had come to the group for many years, so she was very interested in Ji Xiaoxi's arrival. It was also because of this that she valued Ji Xiaoxi a little more. After knowing so much, Tangwa and the system still couldn't figure out what kind of mechanism was needed to create a new group member. Ji Xiaoxi appeared again. The moment she appeared, the system notified Tangwa. "Emmanuel, your hair tonic doesn't work on me, but it seems to work on rabbits." Ji Xiaoxi was already suspecting that the reason for her hair loss was not because of Emmanuel's plastic surgery instrument. Then, she regretted it. How could she have returned the plastic surgery instrument for the sake of the hair tonic? She wanted to ask Emmanuel to exchange again, but Emmanuel didn't seem to be in the group and ignored her. This made Ji Xiaoxi panic. Now, she was most worried about her hair, so she couldn't care less about Emmanuel. She began to ask the other group members what to do. She looked through the chat history and found that Tangwa was also there. Her eyes lit up and she quickly asked, "School Beauty, can you help me? I've lost all my hair. I went to the hospital for a checkup. The doctor said that everything is normal and couldn't find the reason for my hair loss." Now, there were people coming over to ask her if her hair had grown back. It was as if she had returned to the time when she was laughed at by everyone. That feeling was unbearable. She desperately wanted her hair to grow back so that she could return to the time when everyone called her Goddess G. She missed the feeling of everyone smiling at her and being the moon surrounded by stars. "Campus Belle, are you losing your hair? What's going on?" "Ji Xiaoxi, I don't know. When I went to get the final report card, I couldn't help but grab my hair because I did well. I didn't expect that a lot of my hair would fall off. When I rubbed it again, all the hair on the top of my head fell off." At that time, she didn't know what the people around her thought of her. She only wanted to escape. After so many days, she didn't dare to meet Fu Zhuoshu. She wondered if Fu Zhuoshu would break up with her after seeing her like this. "Campus Belle, did you use that smart elixir?" Ji Xiaoxi had a bad premonition when she saw those words. At the same time, a look of realization appeared on Ziyun's face when he saw those words. He finally understood why he had that feeling before. It turned out that Ji Xiaoxi's problem was really because of the school bell. He secretly pondered for a moment. Did the school bell do it on purpose or not? It seems like she did it on purpose. If she didn't do it on purpose, she would have definitely told Ji Xiaoxi in advance about the consequences of using the elixir, right? Peak. Chapter 246. Did the campus bell do it on purpose? TSK, TSK, TSK. The campus bell turned out to be such a person. She must have done it on purpose. He didn't know why, but when he thought of Ji Xiaoxi being seen in public, he felt a little excited. Haha, Why did he become so bad? Ha ha ha. He must have learned it from the campus bell. Ji Xiaoxi was silent for a moment, then said, I did use that pill before. Campus bell, is there a problem with that pill? She almost blurted out, why did you give me a pill with a problem? But now she was still in her peak state. No matter how dissatisfied she was, she couldn't offend the campus bell at this time, so she secretly noted it down. Campus bell, there's no big problem. Didn't you notice the name of the pill? Ji Xiaoxi, what? Campus bell, so smart. People will become smart, but they will also become peerless. Do you think there's any medicine that's so good that it doesn't have any side effects? I asked you before, and you needed it, so I used it to exchange for a bunch of things I don't need. Ji Xiaoxi was a little depressed. Was it her fault? The other party didn't say there would be side effects. If she knew it would be peerless, she would have definitely reconsidered. She let out a long breath. Is there a way to cure it? The others in the group didn't say anything, but they were actually overjoyed. Ha ha ha. Smart. What a good name. People will become smart, but they will also become peerless. Smart, really smart. Ziyun and Kai Xiao Supreme secretly gave her a thumbs up. The campus bell was still the best. She publicly retaliated, and no one could find fault with her. Although they didn't know when Ji Xiaoxi offended the campus bell was nice and pleasing to the eye. She was the same kind of person as them. Ji Xiaoxi was selfish and only thought of herself, so they would definitely stand by her side unconditionally. Campus bell, there's no problem, it's just a side effect. Once the side effect is over, you will be able to grow hair. Ji Xiaoxi breathed a sigh of relief. It was just a side effect. She could still grow hair. That was good. She really had enough of being called ugly and mocked by others. How long will it take to recover? School bell, this is extremely smart. One pill can make a person smart for an hour, and the side effect is that after half a month, it will be a month. One pill is a month, and the number of pills you eat is a few months. When Ji Xiaoxi saw this answer, her heart turned cold. She had eaten 5 pills. She counted with her fingers. 5 pills meant 5 months. So she still had to go through nearly half a year before her hair could grow again. She had to go bald for almost half a year. Counting the 2 months of vacation, she would have to go to class with a Mediterranean hairstyle for almost the entire semester. Just thinking about it was unbearable. The only thing that made sense to her was that the next semester was in the second half of the year. She could wear a hat when the weather turned cold. When school started, it was still very hot, so she could only wear a wig. Ji Xiaoxi, is there no other way? For example, using other medicinal pills to grow hair? She didn't believe that such a pill didn't exist. In her heart, she was certain that the other party was deliberately trying to embarrass her. Campus bell, there is, but all my pills have side effects. If you want to make one of them complete, you will have to make up for it in other parts of your body. It depends on whether you are willing to pay the price. Tangua's words made the people in the group thoughtful. They could actually do this. They had learned something. Ji Xiaoxi asked weakly, what are the side effects of growing hair? Top point. Chapter 247. Tangua wasn't surprised by Ji Xiaoxi's question. She was discussing with the system about what kind of medicine to make. System, do you have any ideas? Host, no. I'm still a child. Please don't lead me astray. The price of growing hair is to become fat. Ugly. Acne. Which one do you think is better? The system held back and finally spoke. Host, you're so mean. She can't accept any of these 3. I think she'll still choose to go bald. Although she'll be extremely bald, she can still get a wig. At least her face will look good. She used to be fat, ugly, and acne. She can't accept it. Campus bell, I have 3 kinds of medicine for growing hair here. Ji Xiaoxi was a little excited. Which 3? What are the side effects? This time, she learned to be smart. She asked first before changing. The others in the group also stared at her. They didn't know why they thought the campus bell wasn't so easy to talk to. The campus bell had always disliked Ji Xiaoxi. Every time Ji Xiaoxi left, she would only appear to give them benefits. She would even delete some important chat records. Campus Bell. The first side effect is to gain 50 pounds. The second side effect is to become ugly. The third side effect is to have small acne all over your face. Of course, the side effect will only last for a short time. It won't last forever. Think about which one to choose. Ji Xiaoxi, the others in the group. As expected of the Campus Bell. Ziyun shook his head. He was a man, and he couldn't accept such side effects. In any case, he was also a handsome man. If he stood there, he would still charm a lot of female cultivators. Ji Xiaoxi couldn't accept it at all. Only after being fat, ugly, and acne would she understand that it was very painful to have any of these three side effects. She absolutely couldn't accept it. She'd rather go bald. Thank you for your kindness, Campus Bell, but forget it. Ji Xiaoxi didn't know if it was very difficult to accept, but after saying this, she left the group without saying goodbye to the others. The group was silent for a while, then it became lively again. Piao Miao Shenzi, Campus Bell, is there really such a medicine? Campus Bell, yes, do you want it? If you want it, I'll make it for you right away. Everyone pondered. Make it right away? So this medicine was developed by the school bell, then, the school bell couldn't change the formula just because she wanted to. Thinking of this, they all chuckled. Only Fairy Piao Miao still wanted it. Tangua asked her for the herbs she needed, spent some time to prepare some for her, and left the group. Today, she planned to go to the company to take a look. The family Tang couple was very capable. Without the Ma family deliberately causing trouble, they had been slowly developing their family Tang business. Seeing that the family Tang group was thriving, she had no intention of interfering. Anyway, she had the evidence of Ma Maro splashing her with sulfuric acid and Ji Xiaoxi pushing her. Only sending Ma Maro to prison would be letting him off too easily. As for Ji Xiaoxi, she wasn't going to let her off. She was going to make her lose what she shouldn't have. Only then would she feel better. The Ma family connived with people like Ma Maro to suppress the family Tang clan and did not give the family a way to survive. The Ma family did not need to exist anymore. There was also a mistress in the Ma family who seduced her boyfriend's father, causing her boyfriend to have a stepfather. She wouldn't let her off. As for her boyfriend's father, he was very hateful. He didn't want such an outstanding son, so it was better for her boyfriend to inherit the Wei family. That father Wei could go back and retire. If he didn't want to, he could go to the Ma family to retire. Peak. Chapter 248. During the holiday, Tangguo would message and call Wei Yu every day. Slowly, it became Wei Yu sending messages and calling Tangguo regularly. He would feel uncomfortable if he didn't receive any news from her for a day. After not seeing her for 3 days, he couldn't help but run to the family Tang. Even if he looked at her downstairs, he felt at ease. Wei Yu thought that his illness was getting worse and worse. However, what kind of illness was it that he didn't see Tangguo for a day? Boss, why are you so worried? Did you quarrel with sister-in-law? No. Wei Yu pursed his lips. They were fine. How could they quarrel? Besides, if they really quarreled, would he argue with a little girl? Besides, he couldn't bear to be fierce, couldn't bear to. He paused. It turned out that he couldn't bear to be fierce to her at all. Seeing that Wei Yu's brows were almost pinched to death, the lackeys below were a little anxious. Could it be that Ma Maro provoked boss? During the holiday, their boss seemed to have eaten crazy medicine. He went to find trouble with Ma Maro whenever he had nothing to do. Now, Ma Maro had to hide when he saw their boss. They also understood that in the past, their boss didn't show his true ability. Now that he showed his true ability, Ma Maro was beaten until he pissed his pants every time. The hooligans of No. 1 High School and No. 2 High School also knew that Beauty Tang of No. 1 High School and school tyrant Wei Yu were friends. Although Beauty Tang had been splashed with sulfuric acid and half of her face was ruined, everyone still called her Beauty Tang. They didn't think of changing it. Those who hadn't seen Beauty Tang after her face was disfigured might question this title. However, once they saw her, they knew that she was dazzling. There was really no one else who could compare to her. Looking at her smile, one would completely ignore the scar on her face. Even if one noticed it, their first thought wasn't that it was ugly, but that their hearts ached. Such a perfect person was actually ruthless enough to hurt her. The Ma family suppressed the news tightly, but many people still knew that he was the one who did it. Ma Maro later understood why he was beaten up by Wei Yu. It was because of that Tang Guo from number 1 high school who he had accidentally splashed with sulfuric acid on. If he wanted to blame someone, he could only blame the other party for looking too similar to Ji Xiaoxi. He had also lost his mind for a moment. Because of this matter, he was also scolded by his family Tang. Fortunately, the Tang didn't dare to provoke the Ma family, so this matter was settled. However, Ma Maro was still a little angry after being beaten up by Wei Yu often. As for Ji Xiaoxi, she had been avoiding him all this time. Just thinking about her made him angry, but he was also afraid that he would do the same thing in his anger, so he didn't go looking for Ji Xiaoxi. Now that school had started, he wanted to meet the so-called campus belle Tang. He wanted to see what kind of person the other party was to actually make that brat Wei Yu side with her, and the two of them even became friends. Ma Maro asked his underling to keep an eye on Wei Yu. Knowing that Wei Yu wasn't in school today, this was a rare opportunity. After school at noon, he slipped into number 1 middle school and stopped Tang Guo from going to the cafeteria. It was too easy to recognize her. After all, Tang Guo was the only one in the entire number 1 middle school who was disfigured by acid and could still go to school. Standing outside the canteen, Ma Maro raised his head and noticed Tang Guo approaching from afar. The girl had a gentle and clean smile on her face. Her hair was tied up in a ponytail, and she was wearing a refreshing school uniform. The skirt of the uniform swayed as she walked. At a glance, all he saw was her elegant demeanor, completely ignoring the scar on her face. Ma Maro looked at the girl walking over and his heart skipped a beat for no reason. Especially that face that couldn't be any more familiar. He couldn't take his eyes off it. It wasn't until Tang Guo walked in front of him that his previous confidence seemed to have disappeared. Peak. Chapter 249. Ma Mao. Tang Guo stood in front of Ma Maro and smiled. "What are you doing here? Are you here to see if I'm doing well, or are you here to show off? Or are you here to stand up for the person you like?" None of them. Ma Maro wanted to say something, but when he looked into Tang Guo's eyes, he didn't know what to say. Previously, he had already thought of the lines he would say to Tang Guo. In any case, he would threaten her and say some harsh words. He would say that Wei Yu couldn't protect her at all. He would also say that she was an ugly monster and that Wei Yu was just toying with her. But when he really faced her, he forgot what he had said previously. For some reason, he couldn't say it. At least, he couldn't say it in front of this face. He cursed silently. If it weren't for this face, he definitely wouldn't have been soft-hearted. Yes, it was this face that was the same as Ji Xiaoxi's. Otherwise, he would definitely jump up and scold her. If there's nothing else, please don't appear in front of me. You should know that I hate you very much." Tang Guo stopped smiling and didn't hide the disgust in her eyes. Yes, anyone would hate a person who ruined their face. It should be said that they hated her very much. She was originally a flower-like fairy, but because someone else was careless and saw wrongly, such an unexpected disaster was ruined. Who wouldn't feel resentful? Ma Maro saw the undisguised disgust clearly and couldn't help but take a step back. He was clearly the school bully of number 2 high school and had beaten up more people than many people ate. He had stabbed people and seen blood, but when he saw the disgust in her clear eyes, he suddenly felt an inexplicable panic. "If you're showing off in front of me because my family Tang doesn't dare to do anything to you, I advise you to get lost immediately." Everyone from number 1 high school noticed this. When they heard that the boy with dyed blonde hair was Ma Maro, they all revealed looks of disgust. It was fine if he was showing off in number 2 high school, but he actually came to number 1 high school to disgust people. When they saw that Wei Yu wasn't around, they quickly informed the boys who were close to Wei Yu. Not long after, a few tall boys ran over and stood nervously beside Tang Guo. "Sister-in-law, did Ma Maro bully you?" They're in my way. Is it convenient for you to throw them out? No problem. Ever since Boss said that they didn't need to be afraid of Ma Mao, they weren't polite to Ma Mao. If there was anything they were afraid of, Boss would take care of it. Moreover, they would not tolerate bullying their sister-in-law. Before Ma Mao could say a word, he was thrown out. He stood at the door gloomily. This was not his territory. He really did not dare to do anything. Just thinking about the disgust in those eyes made him feel uncomfortable. Ma Mao. When he turned around, he saw Ji Xiaoxi. Seeing that Ji Xiaoxi also had a look of fear in her eyes, he didn't have the heart to tease her anymore. He turned around and left. Ji Xiaoxi breathed a sigh of relief. Although Ma Mao liked her and said that he would never hurt her again, she was still afraid. She was afraid that Ma Mao would be in a bad mood and pour another bottle of sulfuric acid on her. Ma Mao walked all the way back to No. 2 high school. When he saw Ji Xiaoxi just now, he actually didn't find her very attractive. It was as if he didn't like Ji Xiaoxi that much. He didn't know what was going on. What was even scarier was that the person in his mind was actually the girl whose face had been disfigured. Especially the way she walked over with a smile. He couldn't get rid of it no matter what. Peak. Chapter 250. When Wei Yu heard that Ma Mao had come to look for Tang Guo, he came to school that afternoon. Tang Guo was listening to the class, so he leaned on the table and looked at her. In the past, he would be embarrassed, but now he was open and above board. Tang Guo would say, "Boyfriend, you're looking at me so seriously. Are you in love with me?" If it was in the past, Wei Yu would definitely say with a sullen face, "How could that be? You're thinking too much." "I think so." This was Wei Yu's answer now. "I might really be in love with you." When he said that, he looked serious, indicating that he had no intention of lying. Hearing such a strange confession, Tang Guo was no longer in the mood to listen to the class seriously. How did it feel to be flirted with by her boyfriend without warning? Especially with such a serious expression, Tang Guo used her true thoughts to tell you that she wanted to flirt back. "Really?" She smiled, a happy smile on her lips. "So I've waited until the clouds parted to see the moon." When Wei Yu heard her words, his heart skipped a beat. He quickly found a notebook and wrote on it. After a while, Tang Guo received the notebook. There was a heart drawn on the notebook, and the words on the heart were written, "Really." She was so amused that she snorted and believed his words. She took the notebook, drew a heart, and wrote 3 words in the middle. Wei Yu couldn't wait to snatch the notebook. When he saw the 3 words, he broke into a big smile. The 3 words were, "Me too." Seeing that Tang Guo was listening to the class with one hand flipping through the book and the other hand hanging down, he glanced at it, looked at it, and quietly inched over, tentatively reaching out his hand. In the end, he gritted his teeth and grabbed her soft little hand, causing Tang Guo to turn her head. His heart pounded as he carefully observed her expression. He didn't have any intention of letting go. Instead, he tightened his grip, as if he was afraid that she would run away. Seeing that Tang Guo only glanced at him and continued to listen to the class, he heaved a sigh of relief. His heart was filled with joy. This was his girlfriend, his person. He switched to 2 hands and held her little hand in the palm of his hand, as if he was treating a treasure. He wondered why he hadn't held his girlfriend's hand earlier. He regretted wasting so much time. "Boyfriend, be careful. The students behind us have all seen it. If the teacher sees it, I can't guarantee that he won't change our seats." This sentence scared Wei Yu so much that his entire body tensed up, making Tang Guo laugh. Actually, with her current results and condition, the teachers wouldn't make things difficult for her. As long as she maintained her grades, the teacher wouldn't care if she was friends with Wei Yu. Recently, when the teacher talked about Wei Yu, the expression on her face wasn't one of disappointment but gratitude. All the teachers agreed that it was Wei Yu's appearance that made Tang Guo continue to work hard. God, this is really a beautiful misunderstanding. "Boyfriend, have you thought about where you want to study in university in the future?" Tang Guo suddenly remembered that she was going to be the top scorer. She would definitely go to B University in B City, the best university in the country. With her boyfriend's grades, if it wasn't for his family's wealth, he probably wouldn't even be able to attend a diploma mill. However, before she went to university, she would deal with the Ma family. Wei Yu was stunned for a moment and asked, "Where will you go?" "I'm so outstanding, so I'll naturally go to the highest university." Wei Yu looked at her radiant appearance and suddenly panicked. He didn't forget that he was in the last place and couldn't go to the highest university. "Since you're my girlfriend, no matter where you go, you're not allowed to leave me behind," Wei Yu said fiercely. Peak. Chapter 251. As Wei Yu spoke, he grabbed Tang Guo's hand forcefully. "Whoever dares to have designs on my woman, I will beat him up until he can't get out of bed for half a year." Tang Guo smiled and didn't say anything, but it still made Wei Yu very worried. He was a bad student, and his girlfriend was a straight-A student. His girlfriend was going to the highest school. What should he do? He was waiting online anxiously. Tang Guo patted Wei Yu with a meaningful expression. "Then you have to work hard, boyfriend. It's only the first semester of the second year of high school. There are still 2 years left. With your intelligence and wisdom, what's a mere institution of higher learning?" It was because of this sentence that Wei Yu didn't even have the heart to refuse to study. His girlfriend said that he was smart and said that she had the chance to go to an institution of higher learning with him. How could he disappoint his girlfriend? Thinking of her disappointed eyes, he felt terrible. Wei Yu let go of Tang Guo's hand and silently took out a brand new textbook. His books for a few semesters were all here and he had never taken them out. Good luck. His girlfriend was encouraging him. He couldn't let her down. Wei Yu took a deep breath and flipped through the second-year textbook. He couldn't understand it. In the end, he silently took out the first-year textbook and exhaled. At least it was better to read. He didn't disturb Tang Guo. His girlfriend was too amazing, and he was very anxious. If he went over to ask for advice and found out that he was even worse than he imagined, he didn't know if he would be disappointed. That day, Wei Yu watched Tang Guo get into the car. He didn't even look for trouble with Ma Maro. He only said to his lackeys, "I'm going to my grandfather's house." Looking at the group of lackeys who had nothing to do, he patted their shoulders. "Do you know a saying?" The lackeys didn't understand. They felt that their boss was a little crazy. Hooligans aren't scary, but hooligans are cultured. From today onwards, all of you get lost and go back to study. At least pass this semester. Passing? I don't think they can do it. It's really difficult. Leaving behind a group of dumbfounded and disheveled lackeys, Wei Yu swaggered off. His grandfather knew many professor-level figures. With his intelligence, he should be able to catch up with his girlfriend's progress very quickly. He would never disappoint his girlfriend. In the following period of time, the students of Class 3 discovered a very terrifying thing. The school bully Wei Yu, who had never liked to study, was actually reading. Instead of sleeping in class, he listened attentively and took notes. After class, he didn't go out to play. Instead, he sat in his seat and did practice questions. According to a boy who went to the toilet, when he was squatting in the toilet, he heard the sound of someone reciting words next door. He thought that it was a very hard-working classmate, but he didn't expect that when the other party came out, it was actually Wei Yu. It wasn't scary for Wei Yu to study hard, but it was really scary for Wei Yu to memorize words while squatting. They felt that this world was too fantastical. Even Wei Yu began to study hard. At first, they thought that Wei Yu was putting on an act to please Tang Guo. The entire school knew about their relationship. How much did Wei Yu dote on Tang Guo? Just list out all the things he has done and you will know. Every morning, he would wait at the school gate early in the morning, hand over warm milk and bread, and take Tang Guo's school bag. Tang Guo wanted to go to the library, so he went there early to reserve a seat. When it was close to noon, he would always secretly run down 10 minutes earlier to get food. During class, he would always buy some snacks. Peak. Chapter 252. When Tang Guo was on her period, he would take out brown sugar from his bag in the bathroom. He would frown because of Tang Guo and his face would turn pale. He would be so nervous that he would ignore class and carry her to the school infirmary. If someone stopped him, he would say fiercely, "Go away. Can't you see that my girlfriend isn't feeling well? If you delay my girlfriend's treatment, I'll beat you up until you can't get out of bed for half a year." When Tangguo said that she was hungry or thirsty, he would always take care of her meticulously. The students of Class 3 were initially shocked, but they were now very used to it. If Wei Yu didn't dote on Tangguo for a day, they would feel that the world was about to change. Other than being showered with dog food countless times every day, they still felt that this kind of life was not bad. It was also very interesting to occasionally gossip about how Wei Yu would dote on Beauty Tang today. Now, the entire school forum was filled with all kinds of posts about Wei Yu doting on Beauty Tang. Someone even listed out what Wei Yu would do today. However, this didn't mean that they could accept Wei Yu studying hard every day. They thought that he would last at most a week. A month passed, 2 months passed. He was still persevering. Now, other than in front of Tangguo, Wei Yu didn't forget to bring a book when he went to the bathroom, did morning exercises, and ate. Occasionally, when his underlings were bullied, he would get back at them. Once, he brought his underlings to get back at them and even brought a math exercise book. The students of Class 3 found out later and the entire class cursed in unison. Later on, those people who were beaten up by Wei Yu's underlings saw Wei Yu doing math questions and swore that they would never provoke Wei Yu again. Woo-woo, a hooligan wasn't scary. They couldn't afford to offend a hooligan who worked so hard and had a good family background. What if this hooligan turned into a mathematician in the future? A scientist? What kind of big shot was he? Wouldn't he hold a grudge? Wei Yu had already fallen in love with studying. He especially enjoyed the encouraging look his girlfriend gave him after every test. It was so warm that it warmed his heart. His math scores went from 30 points to 60 points, passing to full marks now. It only took him 2 months, but the students of Class 3 were shocked. He had only gotten 20 points deducted from his previous comprehensive science test, which was slightly worse than Tangguo's full marks, but he had already surpassed most people. His English didn't exist. Wei Yu had been exposed to English when he was young and was even nurtured as a genius prodigy who wanted to be sent abroad. It wasn't a problem for him to score full marks. His language, Wei Yu, hey, to hell with your language. Boyfriend, today I printed a reading comprehension book and a few essay questions. Remember to finish them within a week. I will mark them carefully. Tangguo said very seriously. You won't disappoint me, will you? Wei Yu cursed in his heart. Seeing his girlfriend's expectant eyes, he quickly sat up straight. Absolutely not. I will definitely finish it seriously. Yes, I believe you. Wei Yu was someone who wouldn't cheat once he made a promise. Of course, this was only limited to the person he made a promise to was Tangguo. He wanted to accompany her to the highest school. He didn't want to see her disappointed gaze. Her encouragement and trust were his motivation. Tangguo's lips curled into a smile. Looking at Wei Yu's pure appearance, she couldn't help but pat his head. So obedient. The students of Class 3. They wanted to throw their bowls. Peek. Chapter 253. Beauty Tang, Ma Maro is here again. The girl in front glanced at Wei Yu's empty seat. Wei Yu had taken the day off to participate in the mathematical Olympiad competition. Every time Wei Yu wasn't around, Ma Maro from number 2 middle school would sneak over. At first, they thought he was looking for Ji Xiaoxi. They didn't expect Ma Maro to look for Ji Xiaoxi and peek at Tangguo. Later, he came to look for Tangguo openly. They didn't know what he was thinking. Beauty, you have to stay away from Ma Maro. He's very dangerous. As soon as the girl in front of him said this, she realized that Ma Maro was looking at her with a heavy gaze. She was so scared that she hurriedly ran out of the classroom. Tangguo ate without looking at Ma Maro. Why don't I treat you to lunch today? Ma Maro said hesitantly. He didn't have the aura of a second middle school bully at all. If someone hadn't seen him bullying his schoolmate, they would have thought that Ma Maro was replaced. Tangguo raised her eyelids. I'm almost full. Even if you don't want to eat, you can still look at it. You can drink some tea or something. Ma Marrow looked at Tangua's face, and a touch of guilt rose in his heart. I think I may have really hurt you before. I apologize to you, okay? Host, you flirted with Ma Marrow? The system was surprised. Tangua snorted. I flirted with him because I ate too much. I haven't even flirted with my boyfriend enough. I don't have time to play with him. The system thought so too. Its host had a strong personality and would never flirt with someone she didn't have feelings for. It should be said that she would never flirt with someone who didn't attract her, even if she was beaten to death. Not interested. Tangua buried her head in her food. Hurry up and leave. I don't want to see you. Do you have to be like this? Ma Marrow was a little disappointed. What do you want? I'll compensate you, okay? Tangua raised her eyebrows. Sure. Seeing that Ma Marrow was happy, she continued, if you splash sulfuric acid on my face, I'll forgive you and be good friends with you. Ma Mao's smile froze. He stared at Tangua speechlessly. Do you hate me that much? Aren't you spouting nonsense? Why don't you ask the girls who were splashed with sulfuric acid? Who wouldn't hate the person who ruined them? Tangua sneered and said, what they want to do is much crazier than what I want to do. I'd be letting you off easy if they just turned you into ashes. Ma Marrow was so shocked that he took a step back. He did not dare to look into Tangua's eyes. She didn't know why he had come and even asked for her forgiveness. He thought he had gone crazy. Was it because of that face that resembled Ji Xiaoxi's? He didn't know that he had liked Ji Xiaoxi in the beginning. He didn't understand that all eyes were on Tangua now. As for Ji Xiaoxi, he no longer had the same feelings as before. Ma Marrow still wanted to say something, but Fu Zhuoshu and Ji Xiaoxi entered the classroom. The two of them must have just eaten. When Ji Xiaoxi saw Ma Marrow, she immediately hid behind Fu Zhuoshu. She was truly afraid of this crazy person. Fu Zhuoshu's expression changed when he saw Ma Marrow. He quickly looked at Tangua, who was eating slowly. Seeing that she was fine, he could not help but heave a sigh of relief. Ma Marrow, this is number 1 middle school. Fu Zhuoshu was not afraid of Ma Marrow. His Fu family was not inferior to the Ma family. She has already been hurt by you. How can you still appear in front of her with a clear conscience? Fu Zhuoshu knew why Ma Marrow had come. He found it ridiculous. He had hurt someone like that and even used his family to force her. Now, he was asking for her forgiveness. This Ma Marrow was really a jerk. The Peak. Chapter 254. Fu Zhuoshu knew that he was moved by Tangua, but after seeing what Wei Yu had done for Tangua and how he had changed for her, and seeing her happy and dazzling appearance, he didn't dare to destroy it. Ma Mao's appearance made him very vigilant. It's none of your business. Ma Marrow snorted. You'd better take care of your girlfriend. You should be happy that I'm not snatching her from you now. After saying that, Ma Marrow turned around and left. Fu Zhuoshu frowned. He did not notice the jealousy in Ji Xiaoxi's eyes and the way she clenched her fists tightly. He turned around and walked to Tangua's side. Be careful of Ma Marrow. Get Wei Yu to keep an eye on him. After saying that, he returned to his seat and let out a long breath. He glanced at Ji Xiaoxi's back view. He could not see her expression clearly, but he understood Ji Xiaoxi's recent changes and her ambiguous words from time to time. Therefore, he restrained himself and did not interact too much with Tangua. Actually, he wanted to make things clear with Ji Xiaoxi and forget about that matter. However, because of Ji Xiaoxi's baldness, he could not bear to break up with her. He was prepared to wait for her to recover before he broke up with her. Tangua did not know what these people were thinking. Even if she did, she would not care. Ji Xiaoxi held her phone and thought that her hair would grow out soon. Counting the time, she would not be able to wear a hat before the final exam. She heaved a sigh of relief. It was really uncomfortable to enjoy everyone's strange gazes every day. Previously, she had worn a wig and accidentally dropped it during the exercises between classes, causing her to make a fool of herself. Now that the weather had turned cold, she simply wore a hat. However, she could still feel those strange gazes and could only endure it for the time being. Fu Zhuoshu's concern for Tang Guo really made her angry. Fu Zhuoshu was clearly her boyfriend. Ma Maro, who originally liked her so much, seemed to also have a crush on Tang Guo. She gritted her teeth. She really wanted to ask why. Tang Guo was already an ugly monster. Why did so many people still like her? Fortunately, her hair was about to grow out. Ji Xiaoxi's eyes shone brightly. She had finally managed to change her life. She would not let Fu Zhuoshu leave her. It was almost the end of term exams. Ji Xiaoxi had been absent-minded in her studies recently. When she heard the homeroom teacher mention her name, she hurriedly sat up straight. Ji Xiaoxi, don't be too stressed. Although your test results have regressed a little this semester, I can understand. You must be calm during this final exam. Ji Xiaoxi gritted her teeth. Why wasn't she as smart as Tang Guo? Why did Tang Guo get all the good things? She was extremely nervous at the thought that she might be stuck in the middle or lower tier of the final exams. Classmate Ji Xiaoxi can learn from classmate Tang Guo. I believe that classmate Tang Guo is someone worth learning from in these 2 semesters. She was strong and intelligent. Even after such a tragedy, she was still full of sunshine. She was always first in the test. Nowadays, no one dared to talk about Tang Guo's face. In number 1 middle school, whoever dared to talk about her would be drowned by countless spittle. Not only did she save herself, but she also made Wei Yu turn over a new leaf. He went from being the worst student in the class to being in the top 15. If it wasn't for his poor language results, he would have been in the top 3 every time. No one dared to say that they were not worthy. The school teachers also tacitly agreed that they were together. The dean of teaching saw the 2 of them holding hands. He quickly pretended not to see them and took a detour. Yes, teacher. Ji Xiaoxi lowered her head. It was already like this, but Tang Guo was still so dazzling. No, she had to do well in the final exams. At the top. Chapter 255. It had been a long time since Ji Xiaoxi got something good in the group. Although she kept an eye on the group whenever she was free, she didn't dare to snatch red packets at school. Although the people in the group still sent red packets often, for some reason, they often sent them when she was in class. She didn't dare to snatch the red packets at all. If she clicked on it and a small item appeared out of thin air, she could hide it. If a large item appeared directly on the desk, she would definitely be caught and cut into pieces for research. She was really unlucky recently. When she returned home, she would lock herself in her room. She snatched a lot of red packets, but to her, they didn't have any direct effect. Especially the school bell group owner, who often sent her big gift bags during class. She didn't dare to snatch them. Once, she took a leave of absence from class to go to the bathroom. In the end, she snatched a roast goose, and it was sweet. She hated sweet roast geese the most. Xiaoxi, are you confident that you can get into the top 10 in this final exam? The person who asked was Ji Xiaoxi's deskmate who got along well with her. Your condition this semester isn't very good. Why don't we review together after school? Ji Xiaoxi's deskmate had a good temper and good grades. She had always been in the 7th or 8th place in the class. Whether it was the Ji Xiaoxi before the change, the perfect Ji Xiaoxi after, or the bald Ji Xiaoxi now, her attitude was always the same. This was also the only good friend Ji Xiaoxi recognized. If Ji Xiaoxi was calm, she would be able to feel her deskmate's concern. At this moment, Ji Xiaoxi almost lost the ability to think. Everyone knew that she was bald and that her grades were declining, although the usual tests weren't that important. However, for the midterm exam, she studied hard for a week and only got 19th place in the class. She didn't do well in the midterm exam because she was shocked by her baldness and couldn't perform well. If the final exam was the same, it could only mean that her grades were unstable. With Tang Guo in front, everyone would compare her to Tang Guo. These days, she could hear these words every day. They said that Tang Guo was disfigured and became the first in the grade. She just couldn't take the blow because she was bald. She couldn't take it lying down. In her eyes, her deskmate's worried look was also questioning her ability. No need. Ji Xiaoxi's tone was cold. My mom wants me to go home early. They'll be worried if I'm late. Ji Xiaoxi's deskmate didn't notice the coldness in Ji Xiaoxi's tone. She only thought that Ji Xiaoxi was in a bad mood, so she kindly comforted her. Oh, okay then. If you need help, don't hesitate. This kind of charitable tone was really annoying. Ji Xiaoxi pursed her lips tightly and buried her head, not even glancing at the girl sitting at the same table. Hihi, Wei Yu was attracted by Tangua's chuckle and stared at her without blinking. Are you very happy? Yeah, I'm happy. His girlfriend was happy, and so was he. Wei Yu revealed a big smile. Recently, he had cut his hair. He was handsome to begin with. Now that his grades were good and he had clean short hair, he had become the Prince Charming in the hearts of countless girls. But in his eyes, there was only Tangua, and no other girl dared to provoke her. It's almost the weekend. Do you want to go out and play? Wei Yu was a little nervous. Recently, he had read a lot of girlfriend strategies. A holiday date was a very romantic thing. Girls would like it. At the same time, he would also prepare a little surprise. Girls would also like this boy more and more. Vertex. Chapter 256. Boyfriend, the final exam is coming soon. Don't be so playful. Have you finished the reading and essay that I printed for you? If you really want to go and play, you have to wait until after the final exam. I can accompany you wherever you want to go. Wei Yu was a little disappointed at first, but when he heard the last sentence, he quickly nodded. I'm almost done with the exam papers. I'll definitely do well at the end of the semester. Tangua liked Wei Yu's sparkling eyes very much. His eyes were very focused, especially when he looked at her. Those dark and bright eyes could not tolerate anything else except her. She touched Wei Yu's forehead and smiled. You're so cute. I want to kiss you. Wei Yu blushed and didn't dare to look at Tangua's eyes, but he couldn't bear to avoid them. He could only look at her seriously with a red face. This made the students of Class 3, who were secretly observing them, curse. This hooligan who didn't even blink when he hit someone was actually blushing. This was really a terrifying thing. Everyone, look. This is still the classroom, Wei Yu said softly. If Guogua really wants to kiss me, let's find a place where there's no one after school. That I don't care what you do look made Tangua unable to stop smiling. She really liked Wei Yu. He was a cute and pure person. Her soft little hand touched Wei Yu's eyes. He had no intention of dodging at all. Although he couldn't kiss her, he could still touch her if his girlfriend wanted to. He felt that the people around him were using books and notebooks to secretly look over. He glared fiercely at them, scaring the students of Class 3 so much that they didn't dare to look over. Only then was he satisfied. When he faced Tangua, he revealed that kind of puppy-like obedient eyes. This scene made the students of Class 3 very uncomfortable, as if they had been hit hard. They were about to vomit blood. Was it really good to treat her so differently? It wasn't easy for them to endure until school ended. The students of Class 3 ran out screaming. They really didn't want to face the people in the classroom who were showing off their affection during and after class. They didn't need to turn around to know that Wei Yu was helping campus belle Tangua pack her bag. He carried her bag without complaint and guarded her like a knight. He paid attention to the people who rushed out at any time to prevent Tangua from being hit by others. Only when Tangua got into the car safely, would he return to being the leader of the hooligans. The family Tang also knew about Wei Yu. After understanding him, they chose to wait and see. Later, Tangua told the family Tang couple that Wei Yu was her boyfriend and wanted her to go to be university with them in the future. They were not surprised at all. When they heard about Wei Yu's changes and his skyrocketing results, the family Tang couple was already calm and composed. They smiled and said, as expected of the young man our daughter has taken a fancy to. Wei Yu had already gone from being able to send Tangua to family Tang's car to being a guest in family Tang's car. Miss, Sir and Madam said that they want to invite young Master Wei back for dinner, the driver said with a smile. Young Master Wei's performance this semester had blinded the eyes of countless people. In the beginning, many people were mocking the family Tang, saying that the family Tang's daughter was disfigured and only had the chance to be entangled with a hooligan. How could they know that this hooligan wasn't simple? He was a pearl covered in dust, and a pearl that only liked Miss Wei Yu was very happy. He quickly opened the car door and helped Tang Guo into the car. He got in after her and bared his white teeth at the driver. That silly look made the driver's forehead twitch. Peek. Chapter 257. After Ji Xiaoxi returned home, she hurriedly opened the group chat. After taking a deep breath, she Tang Guo. She looked at herself in the mirror and saw that her hair was slowly growing out of her head. However, when she thought of the final exam, she put on her hat again, gritted her teeth, and continued to send messages. Ji Xiaoxi, school bell, are you there? I have something to talk to you about. Ji Xiaoxi's appearance piqued the interest of everyone in the group. They didn't want to make any more deals with Ji Xiaoxi, but they were all very interested in Ji Xiaoxi directly looking for Tang Guo. What was Ji Xiaoxi doing? Wasn't she worried that Tang Guo would be at a disadvantage? Was the school bell someone who would be at a disadvantage? Wei Yu was doing Chinese reading questions in Tang Guo's room. Tang Guo was leaning against the side, flipping through the book and watching him do it. Although Wei Yu was a little surprised that his girlfriend wasn't going to kiss him in her room, doing the questions was the same. Anyway, his girlfriend was beside him, and the troublesome Chinese reading questions became a little cute in his eyes. Host, Ji Xiaoxi is calling you in the group. Tang Guo raised her eyebrows slightly. Got it. To be honest, she was a little curious about why Ji Xiaoxi was looking for her. Thinking of this, she had already seen the message in the group. School bell, what's the matter? When Ji Xiaoxi saw the group leader appear, she felt a little uncomfortable thinking that she would be bald for a few more months. However, when she thought about her poor grades, she felt even more uncomfortable. She wanted to do well in the exam and not be looked down upon by others. Another reason was to catch up with Fu Zhuoshu. Tang Guo's IQ was too abnormal. She didn't expect to be able to catch up with her at the moment. As long as she entered the top 10 and was closer to Fu Zhuoshu, it would be fine. No matter what, she couldn't be worse than Wei Yu, right? Ji Xiaoxi, school bell, do you still have that smart pill from last time? When Tang Guo saw this sentence, she was really stunned for a moment. She blinked. Ji Xiaoxi wanted to take the initiative. As a system, I don't quite understand Ji Xiaoxi's thoughts. Hey, the system didn't understand, but Tang Guo instantly understood Ji Xiaoxi's thoughts. It was nothing more than being unable to accept the results going back to their original state. Once a person stood in a position that did not belong to them and enjoyed the glory that came with that position, who would be willing to return to their original mediocrity? Could it be that Ji Xiaoxi has never thought about it? In fact, after eating so many elixirs refined by Ziyun, her brain has long since become much smarter than ordinary people. As long as she studies hard, it's impossible for her to surpass the host, but it's still very easy for her to get into the top 10 or top 5. Where do you think the phrase reap without sowing and pie in the sky came from? Who would want to work hard when they are used to reaping without sowing? Do you think it's better to be able to pick up a lottery ticket worth 5 million just by walking a few steps, or to set up a stall to earn 5 million by selling breakfast? The system paused for a moment, then said, of course it's because it feels good to pick up money. Isn't that it? Ji Xiaoxi was the kind of person who liked to pick up money. After tasting the sweetness, would she be willing to use her hands and put in effort to earn money? Her heart is already restless, and she can no longer calm down to study properly. The system was still a system. In the end, it was somewhat puzzled and asked, what about you, host? Why do you work so hard to learn all kinds of skills? Tang Guo was a little sad, because I picked up a system that only reports the plot. There's no novice gift pack, no big gift pack, no reward for completing tasks, no system store, and no conditions to reap without sowing. System, so, was it blaming him? He couldn't refute it. He received 10,000 points of critical hit. Peak. Chapter 258. The system, which had suffered a blow, chose to hide and secretly heal itself. It recalled the days when it got along with Tangguo. Especially in the beginning, it was not easy for the host. At that time, it was definitely not as smart as it was now. In its program, it only urged the host to complete the task. If the host was disobedient, it would warn her by obliterating her. In fact, there was no obliteration in its program. The words it said were just programmed. After upgrading, it vaguely felt that the host was the one it should hug. On the other side, Tangguo came back to her senses and asked Ji Xiaoxi, "You want to exchange that kind of pill with me? This pill has side effects." Ji Xiaoxi did not hesitate at all. "I've decided. I want to exchange. Campus bell, is it for you?" Ji Xiaoxi, "No, it's not. I'm exchanging it for my good friend. Her academic performance has always been poor. I want to help her. I originally wanted to help her with her tutoring, but it didn't work." Tangguo smiled. "Then you have to tell her about the side effects." Ji Xiaoxi, "I will. Campus bell, are you willing to exchange with me?" In fact, Ji Xiaoxi was a little nervous. The campus belle was not a good person. She would treat people well if they were pleasing to her eyes. If she did not like them, she would not even care about them. She could understand. After all, she was the only ordinary person in the group. The others in the group seemed to respect the campus belle very much. The other party must be a peerless powerhouse. She did not know why the campus belle was not close to her. She also wanted to have a good relationship with the campus belle, but the other party did not lack anything. A few words could not deceive her. From the chat records, she could also see that the campus belle was not a sympathetic person. Last time, Ziyun said that he passed by a small country one day. This small country had just been destroyed, and the people surnamed by were living a hard life. Those poor people who could not eat their fill came to beg him. He was compassionate and asked the campus belle if there was any way to help these people. Then the campus belle said, "Ziyun, since you are a cultivator, you should know what will happen if you meddle in the karma of the mortal world. A fallen nation will definitely have heroes in troubled times to save them. If you save them, you'll be robbing them of the opportunity to appear. You can't keep the people in charge of this place going. That's the cause you planted. You want to change the fate of this small country, but you don't know that you will be stopping the person who can truly save their fate. Can you take this fruit? If you can handle it, then do it." His words completely dispelled Purple Cloud's pity for him. He only felt that these people were pitiful, but he did not know the cause of all this. If he took care of these people, the true savior would not appear. And then, when he thought about Reverend Ziyun, he felt that the consequences would be terrifying. It was fine to help one or two people once in a while, but if it was related to the survival of the country, he could not bear it. Ji Xiaoxi didn't understand the concept of karma. She only thought that Tao Master Ziyun was such a powerful cultivator that he could easily change the fate of ordinary people. Besides, didn't that hero of chaos not appear? Who knew if it would appear in the future? She didn't dare to say anything on the surface, but she secretly thought that the school belle had no sympathy and was a cruel and cold person. When Ji Xiaoxi came back to her senses, she saw the latest message in the group. "Campus belle, then what will you give me in exchange? I won't give my things away for free. You can think about what you can trade with me. Vertex." Chapter 259. Ji Xiaoxi pursed her lips, feeling a little uncomfortable. What did she mean by not giving it away for free? Did she think that she didn't notice her sending red packets in the group every day? If it weren't for the fact that they didn't know each other, she would have thought that the other party was deliberately targeting her. Ji Xiaoxi would never have thought that Tangguo was in the same class as her. "Ji Xiaoxi, what does the school belle want? I have a lot of good items in this world." Recently, she had earned some money and could buy some luxury goods. Ji Xiaoxi paused and continued to send messages. "Our accessories here are very exquisite. The school belle should be a girl, so she likes things like this, right? Also, the dresses are very nice." Seeing this sentence, Tangguo smiled and said to the system, "Find me some beautiful and expensive dresses and accessories from the system space. Take 2 pictures and send them to the group." "Okay, Host. The host was still as bad as before, always attacking other people's strengths. He suspected that the host was from a cult. Suddenly, there were several pictures in the group. The first two pictures were exquisite accessories. Even a straight man like Ziyun Junren would feel that they were beautiful and wanted them. Not to mention Piao Miao Fairy and Margaret, who were women, would go crazy when they saw these accessories. Piao Miao Fairy, school bell, name a price. I want that crystal necklace. I really like it. Margaret, I like that black gem necklace. I want to engrave the most beautiful curse on it. Emmanuel, I want it too. I want to give it to my fiancé. She will definitely like such a beautiful necklace. The rest of the people didn't say anything. They had no reason to want the necklace, but it was really beautiful. School bell, Ji Xiaoxi, do you have any accessories that are better than these? If you do, I can give you a lot of smart ones. System, ha 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 ha, he can't take it anymore. Host, are you not flaunting your wealth in a low-key way to attack Ji Xiaoxi? Piao Miao Fairy also noticed the picture below. Wow, what kind of dress is that? There are even gems on it. It's so beautiful. Unfortunately, it doesn't suit me. Margaret, school bell, I want that dark black dress. The style of this dress is somewhat similar to our plain. I think I can wear it when I go out. Perhaps, in the future, I should change out of my unchanging black robe. This dress made me change my mindset of wearing everything the same. Margaret thought to herself that if those stupid nobles found out that she, a holy wizard, wasn't wearing a black robe, but a dress that was even more luxurious and beautiful than the clothes of the royal family, she wondered how those nobles would look at her in awe. She was looking forward to it. Ziyun Dao Master and the others were a little jealous. Why wasn't the campus bell the campus hunk? If the school bell was the school hunk, she would definitely like to collect men's items. School beauty, Ji Xiaoxi, do you have any dresses that are prettier than these? Are they gorgeous? If there is, I can give you the benefits you want. Ji Xiaoxi was speechless. She had never seen the accessories on it before. Just from the picture, she could tell how exquisite and noble they were. Not to mention the gorgeous and beautiful dress with a unique Western European style. Even in the photos of the current European royal family, she had never seen such a beautiful dress. Even if there was one, she couldn't afford it. Ji Xiaoxi, sorry, school beauty. Your dress and accessories are too beautiful. Mine can't compare. School beauty, oh, so it's like that. Chapter 260. Ji Xiaoxi was very anxious. She was afraid that the campus bell wouldn't give her the pills, so she quickly said, Campus bell, I really need this pill. My friend needs help, and I don't want her to be sad because of her grades. Please help me. From these accessories and dresses, she thought that the campus bell was from a powerful aristocrat in the ancient European world. Campus bell, you should know that I don't like to give things away for free. Ji Xiaoxi, campus bell, however, I sympathize with your friend, so you can exchange some ordinary items with me. Ji Xiaoxi breathed a sigh of relief. Then, she saw the campus bell say, of course, it's best if it's not an ordinary item. You can also exchange the items that you exchanged with other group members. Ji Xiaoxi hesitated. She still had some beauty pills, 3 good luck charms and 3 curse charms from Margaret, a strength charm, and a dagger from General Billy. She didn't want to take out the beauty pills, the good luck charms, the curse charms, and the strength charm. As for the dagger, she could exchange it. In the end, Ji Xiaoxi decided to exchange the dagger, 2 good luck charms, and a strength charm. Tang Guo looked at these items and fully expressed her sympathy for Ji Xiaoxi's friend. You have 4 items here. I'll give you 3 wisdom pills for each item. So, in the end, there are 12 pills in total. What do you think? That was great. She couldn't be too satisfied. Ji Xiaoxi didn't expect to exchange so many things. It seemed that the campus bell wasn't a cold-hearted person. She was touched. Campus bell, this is the last time I'm exchanging with you. I don't think you have anything that can interest me. Ji Xiaoxi thought that it was enough. As long as she passed this final exam, she could study slowly in the future. Maybe she wouldn't run out of pills. After receiving the wisdom pills, Ji Xiaoxi didn't worry about anything. She left the group and was in the mood to go out with her good friends. Margaret and Piao Fairy also exchanged items with Tang Guo for dresses and accessories that they were interested in. They left the group very satisfied. Tang Guo sent them a gift bag of snacks and said, "I'm a little busy here. I'll leave first." After a long time, the Reverend Ziyun appeared. "I've been thinking about it for a long time, but I still can't figure it out. Why would the campus bell give Ji Xiaoxi 12 pills? The school bell didn't seem like the kind of person who would help an old man cross the road. Kai Xiao Zhenjuan, maybe I'll show some kindness once in a while. Devil's sect leader, based on my intuition, the school bell won't be kind unless she's in a good mood or she has her own ideas. Alan, Harold, what do you think, you burly guy? Harold, Alan, what do you think, you skinny guy? Ziyun Zhanren, that's it. The campus belle is an otherworldly expert. How can we guess what she thinks? The system secretly observed Tang Guo. Seeing that Wei Yu was nervously waiting for Tang Guo to mark the papers, it couldn't help but ask, "Host, why are there 12 pills?" It was too strange. Guess if I'm guessing or not. Guo, how was it this time? Wei Yu asked carefully. His language foundation was really too poor. It was really good to pass the passing line in 2 months. It's okay. Tang Guo was still satisfied. With this progress, it won't be a problem for your boyfriend to go to university. Wei Yu heaved a sigh of relief. He held his girlfriend's small hand and refused to let go. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.